Hi, beautiful people. I hope that you had an amazing day. There is so much going on in our country that I don't know how long I'm going to be with y'all tonight, but we're going to talk about it. All of the protests and the things that's happening in Minnesota and other parts of the world is troubling. And everything I share is for educational phrase purposes only. As usual, I'm going to play some videos and we'll talk about it after, okay? It might be a long ride though. I hope my audio works. What's good, Sandsrich? Lionel, it's gonna be a long ride. You see all the protests? What do you think about it? I'm feeling a little somber. I got through watching someone's live stream and they were showing a protest. These protests feel very anti-American, and I really couldn't believe the rhetoric that they were spewing against the Trump administration and the political right. And I'll let you guys see for yourself. The Iran protests, more than one, Lionel. Let me get into my commentary. We'll talk about it after. Daniel, hi. Because I don't like to persuade you guys of anything. Okay, I share unbiased news. You are what you are. I'm not here to persuade you. Let's get into it. I have to mute my microphone. Or my audio is not good. I'm gonna fix that though this weekend. What's good, Claude? What's good? You guys hold it down for me. I so appreciate you. I rock with you. I appreciate you guys because you have my back. Let's go. Let's go. I can't talk to y'all through the videos. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but or else there's an echo. Lionel, I appreciate your support. Daniel, happy Saturday. Let's get into it because we're gonna see something that's happening right now, and then we need to hear from President Trump himself. Our president, the commander-in-chief. All right, you guys, let me know if y'all can hear it. Hold on. Why am I still here? Check out. I gotta mute my microphone. Hold on. I think there would be an echo if I don't.
Cases in those areas turning violent, not free speech, but all out chaos. And in Minneapolis is following the ICE-involved shooting. The victim there we're learning more about, known as a far-left activist with some ties to some interesting people and groups. Portland, Oregon, two shootings overnight. I should say 2 people shot overnight, tied to Trinde Aragua, according to the Department of Homeland Security. We will get into all of it this hour. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Things got pretty ugly in Minnesota last night.
Oh my God, drag him back. Go back. Please go.
Federal agents arrested at least 12 people there last night, and calling them protesters at this point. Let's move into agitators and us. And in Minneapolis is following the ICE-involved shooting. The victim there we're learning more about, known as a far-left activist with some ties to some interesting people and groups. Portland, Oregon, 2 shootings overnight. I should say 2 people shot overnight, tied to Trinde Aragua, according to the Department of Homeland Security. We will get into all of it this hour. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Things got pretty ugly in Minnesota last night.
Oh my God, drag him back. Go back. Please go.
Federal agents arrested at least 12 people there last night, and calling them protesters at this point. Let's move into agitators, and if they prove crimes against them, we'll call them criminals. Agents were forced to use tear gas and pepper balls to disperse the agitators, and tensions are also high around the investigation into that shooting. State officials are now urging the federal government to let them be part of the probe. Well, they were, but the federal government has jurisdiction. And now the feds are arguing Minnesota does not have that legal jurisdiction. They don't. Here's Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey.
You got nothing to hide from, then don't hide from it. Include local experts in the process. We got nothing to hide from here. All we want in Minneapolis is justice and the truth.
And of course, before he could go further, he had to explain why he was dropping F-bombs and promised not to make any more. But he wants us to find experts. I hope he doesn't consider himself one. Well, just to into Fox now, brand new video from the Daily Mail. Watch this closely. I've only seen it once, right before we came to air. Their reporting shows the woman killed, Renee Nicole Good, was already blocking the road for 4 minutes before that confrontation with ICE agents. She was doing so that her wife could leap out of the car to begin filming, which we know she was continuing to do throughout this whole thing. We're also learning more about the woman whom agents killed in that shooting. Sources saying that Nicole Renee Good was an immigration activist who was part of a left-wing group that would monitor and interfere with federal immigration enforcement operations. In fact, on the ground that very afternoon this week, you could hear the whistle blowing. It's something that they're known to do so that they can tell the neighborhood that ICE agents are in the area. Former acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf is coming up with me in focus. Before that, Fox team coverage, Christina Coleman in Portland with more on the arrest there. Yes, and then first, Alexis McAdams in Minneapolis with the latest there. Alexis.
Hi, Harris. Well, you've been seeing it on your screen. Yesterday, we checked in with you in front of the federal building where there were all those protesters. We're expecting more again tonight and counting. And as you said, the mayor here in Minneapolis didn't drop an F-bomb today, but he didn't tell people not to, act out, because we've seen it where they're spitting and fighting with these federal agents. So I want to see what's going to happen again today. This comes as it's almost as if on the ground, Harris, the state and the local officials are watching a completely different video clip than the feds, because the city officials say it's murder, the feds say it was justified, but it led to those protests and also this picture that we're going to show you too on your screen. So this is Renee Nicole Good. We're learning that she was an activist, according to DHS sources. You tell me she was part of this group called ICE Watch, and we heard about it in other places, not just Minnesota. These people go out, they call themselves legal observers, but they're not just observing, according to the feds. Renee Nicole Good was using her car as a weapon, according to the federal prosecutors. They say she hit an agent with her car, and investigators say, it's just so cold, sorry, say that she was with this group that monitors, tracks, interferes, and are against all federal immigration enforcement. Listen to this.
This individual, the subject in question, the deceased, had been following our law enforcement throughout the day, stalking them. At the time of this incident, our law enforcement was outside of their vehicle, trying to get their vehicle out of the snow, when she started blocking our law enforcement, harassing them, impeding lawful operations on the ground.
And then it would kind of ebb and flow when it comes to the ongoing protests, because they hear those city officials saying something, act out, put your body in the line, whatever they're telling these people to do. They're setting up encampments that were cleared this morning, but they faced off with federal agents, Harris. Some of them spat on people. They fought with them. This is what we saw. Watch.
Hey, what the this guy do? Hey, what the this guy do?
And if that wasn't enough, some people thought that they were going to block these agents from leaving the federal building. So they jumped on their cars. One of them tried to smack off the side rear view mirror. And some of them got arrested, because whether you like these federal officials or not, or you have questions, you can't attack federal agents. So back out here live. The last thing, too, that I really think could be the big part of the story, Harris, is that the White House and federal investigators are looking into who funds these ICE watch groups, who trains these people to tell them, hey, show up here, get in the middle of an ICE ongoing operation. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, and we're also hearing reports about people who are wearing yellow vests who look like they're official on the streets, but they're not. And that's what's helping out those blockades like what we saw in South Minneapolis. Hydrate, stay warm. I was covering on the streets of Minnesota a lot. I know how cold it can get, my friend. Great reporting. Thank you.
It is. Thank you.
Hundreds of agitators in Portland.
I am going to play the rest of it for you guys before I get to President Trump. That feels so un-American to me, so anti-American, so against our country. What gives these people the right to come here and do this to our country when they won't do that in their own? And for the American people to say that this is okay, that's unfortunately what happened to that lady. She bought into the left. I'm not. This is not about the right against the left, but it's not okay. Because if those ICE agents have to defend themselves, then you're going to have people crying and playing victim. I don't understand how anybody can go along with it. And this is a sad day in America. You should not be able to protest like this because that's not peaceful and the Constitution does not back that up.
In Oregon last night. Maybe they showed up to protest, maybe some of them could, but then it turned into that. And now border agents have shot 2 suspected criminal illegal immigrants because they're there on a mission to get those people, and they did. Officers say they arrested 6 people during all the chaos of the protesting against them doing their jobs. DHS is sharing more details about that particular incident. And the driver, allegedly a member of the violent Venezuelan gang Trinidad, so they knew that. And the passenger was affiliated with the transnational prostitution ring. That's who they were looking for. Agents say the pair tried to run them over. Despite that violence, Portland's mayor had harsh words against law enforcement.
There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time is long past. That is why we are calling on ICE to halt all operations in Portland until a full and independent investigation can take place.
So would that mean that the Portland mayor, Keith Wilson, is actually wanting to defend and protect the illegal aliens who are doing further crimes, violent crimes in our country? It's a question for him. Christina Coleman is in Portland now with more. Christina.
Hi, Harris. Yes, DHS says the driver of that suspect vehicle was believed to be a member of TDA, that vicious Venezuelan gang. Authorities say after the shooting, he fled the scene and called 911 for help. Take a listen to the dispatch audio.
Police are en route. It looks like caller saying that he was shot twice by ICE. And his wife was shot as well. We have a male who was shot twice in the arm and his wife who was shot in the chest. Your talker is going to be off 1. Stand by for additional dispatch.
DHS identified both suspects in this case as criminal illegal aliens from Venezuela who were released into the country under the Biden administration since 2022. They say since then, the driver, the man you see there, was arrested for DUI and unauthorized use of a vehicle. And they say the woman has played an active role in the TDA gang. Take a listen to more details on her.
The target of this traffic stop was a female, 32. She's a affiliate of Tren de Aragua. She is involved in a prostitution ring.
Both suspects were injured in the shooting. Their conditions are unknown at this time. There were no reports of any injuries to law enforcement. Portland police say the shooting occurred yesterday afternoon in the parking lot of a hospital in Southeast Portland. DHS says the shooting happened after Border Patrol agents carried out that targeted vehicle stop. They said in part, quote, when agents identified themselves, the driver attempted to run over the law enforcement agents. Fearing for his life and his safety, an agent fired a defensive shot. Local leaders held a press conference after the shooting. Portland's Democratic mayor is calling on ICE to stop all operations in the city until a full and independent investigation into the incident takes place. And the governor also supports the mayor's request.
Our community deserves answers. Our community deserves accountability. And most of all, our community deserves peace. Portland is not a training ground for militarized agents.
Now, following the shooting, protesters gathered here at the ICE facility. There were scuffles between some of them and law enforcement. Portland police arrested 6 of them for various charges, including riot, disorderly conduct, and interfering with a peace officer. Now, this is where many anti-ICE protests have taken place last year. Portland police say to date there's been at least 79 arrests related to all of this anti-ICE protest activity. Back to you.
Christina, thank you very much. I want to bring in now Chad Wolf, former acting Homeland Security Secretary. So the situation, let's just start there in Portland and give me your top line thoughts on how this is unfolding.
Well, it's not unsurprising. I mean, Portland is a little bit of a mess. They have been. They will come out. The agitators, the violent opportunists, they come out at a moment's notice, and they will do all sorts of things, not only to federal buildings but to other buildings there. But look, for the mayor of Portland to come out and basically lay blame on law enforcement again, we have these blue city mayors that don't want to talk about the criminal illegal aliens in their communities, but only want to talk about law enforcement. So in Portland, you have a TDA affiliate, involved with prostitution. You have a TDA gang member who's driving. They obviously are not paying attention to ICE or their commands, and obviously are trying to abscond. Instead, the mayor comes out and says, these are the people I want to protect, right? He's asking ICE to halt all operations. What he is saying is that for any TDA member in the city of Portland, you're now safe, and we welcome you. Wow. That is his message. It's an insane message, and it's absolutely, it's unfathomable. But the Trump administration is obviously not going to back down. They're going to continue operations there in Portland, in Minneapolis, and around the country.
Look, one of my colleagues, Griff Jenkins, and I were talking right before we went on air here, and he said, Harris, and this is from his great reporting, consider this, prior to 2022, there was not a single record of a Tren de Aragua gang member being apprehended at the southern border under Joe Biden as president. Today, we have a foothold by TDA in at least 19 states. Now, the Trump administration is attempting to clean up that dangerous mess. Your quick reaction to that?
Yeah, it's a great point, right? Which is 4 years under the Biden administration, you had 10 to 15 or more million individuals come across that border. And we have been saying for some time that the United States and Americans, you're going to feel the consequences for years to come. And the Trump administration is trying to deal with that. They're trying to remove thousands or more criminal illegal aliens from the streets. Just there in Minneapolis, over 1,000 criminal aliens have been removed off the street. Sorry, in Minnesota, in the entire state. Mm-hmm. These are rapists. These are pedophiles. These are murderers. These are the types of individuals that ICE is apprehending in all of these cities. But yet, in blue city after blue city, these are the people that the mayors are going out there saying, we want ICE to stop because we want to protect these criminal illegal aliens.
Look, I'm going to borrow your word. You said agitator. You also said violent opportunist. In Minneapolis, a violent opportunist got physical with Border Patrol Chief Agent Greg Bovino. Remember, he showed up. Border Patrol's there to protect the backs of those ICE agents after one of them apparently getting rammed into by a car by a woman who's now deceased. It's the latest example in an alarming spike in attacks against law enforcement involved in President Trump's immigration crackdown. The Department of Homeland Security is claiming vehicular attacks against ICE are up 300% since President Trump took office. Overall, assaults are up by more than 1,300%. If anybody has a doubt that the rhetoric, that all of the threats is making a difference or not making a difference, it definitely is in the wrong direction. Yeah. ICE is in trouble.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, we now live in a world where individuals in, across the country, mainly on the left, think it's okay to block law enforcement, think it's okay to evade arrest, think it's okay to drive a vehicle into law enforcement. And we would not put up with that. In any other case, any other law enforcement agency around this country, we would never put up with that. And yet you have the far left and mayors and governors and others saying, well, ICE needs to do better. ICE is at fault here. That is not the case. They are law enforcement. They are fulfilling a mission, enforcing immigration law, and they need our support. But more importantly, all of these agitators, the violent opportunists, anyone that wants to do violence against ICE, they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent. We need to make an example out of these folks. Otherwise, this is just going to continue.
Yeah, and make no doubt about it, if ICE is in trouble, that just means more law enforcement. Because the president's not going to let a situation fold in where we don't have law and order. He ran on that. He meant it the first time and the second time, and the American people agreed. A majority. Look, I want to talk about what happens with TDA. You mentioned a mission by the left. What about a mission by the terrorists? And I call them that. They're gang members, but they're terrorizing in some of these communities. Look at Aurora, Colorado. What happens if the law enforcement steps back? Have these communities even gained that part out?
Right. Well, that's just it. I mean, TDA, as well as several others, have been designated as foreign terrorist organizations. So they're in Portland. And again, I go back to the mayor making comments where he wants ICE to retreat. What he is saying is that he is now welcoming a foreign terrorist organization into the city of Portland, and he wants to protect them. That is his message. We need to be very clear about that. That is his message when he's asking law enforcement to take a step back. It's ridiculous. President Trump, I know, and others are not going along with that. They're going to protect all Americans because the vast majority of Americans are on President Trump's side. They want criminal, illegal aliens and those that don't have a legal right to be here removed from the country. They've been very clear about this. And, you're going to continue to see these left or these blue state mayors and governors try to continue to protect them.
Former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf with me today. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno.
No. I don't know how you guys could look at that, hang on, and say that that is anywhere near a peaceful protest. I feel that ICE is being attacked, and you guys can see it. No other place in the world can you put your hands. There's some countries you even accidentally touch one of those leaders and you're going to jail. So why do they feel that they can come here and do whatever the hell they want and that the American people have to put up with this? Some of us are still law-abiding, and we do believe that law enforcement is there to do their jobs and to protect the American people. Veterans against Trump. Oh, wow. Trump is going to lose midterms. Okay, I'm tired of talking to you guys. Let me hear from President Trump. Why didn't you help pick the "you ain't working"? That's a bit racist. You prove my point. I'm not even going to say your name because you're not worth it. You guys want to say that the Republican Party is racist? Look at what the Democrats are saying in my chat. Look at how they're attacking me just for playing the news, saying that I should pick crops. That comes from the left. That's it. And their colors show when they don't get their way, and people don't buy into their lies and their BS. Let me get into this next video. Now, calm down in my chat or my mods will snipe you. Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Hang on, I forgot to mute myself. So I can find this video. Hey, Kayla, I see you, boo.
We're here with our good friend, General Jack Keane, retired.
And the numbers coming in. Honor to be with among the biggest companies in the world, by far, I would say. And We're doing tremendous things. Our country is doing very well. You saw the numbers that got released today, yesterday. The deficits cut way, way, way back at levels that nobody's ever seen before, setting records. And the numbers coming into our country are unprecedented. And we're doing really well. We had a situation 3 days ago with Venezuela, and we're getting along extremely well with the people of Venezuela, both the people and the people that are running Venezuela. I just want to thank our military. What they've done is incredible. That was considered unprecedented, to go into a military fort with thousands of soldiers and others, and to come in with 152 planes going every which way, and very rapid speeds and helicopters, and to come out with no deaths and the loss of no equipment. It was pretty amazing. Nobody's seen anything like it. I was called by the leaders of numerous countries. I won't go into which ones, but the biggest and the strongest, and they said that was very impressive. They were all impressed. But today I'm delighted to welcome almost 24 of the biggest and most respected oil and gas executives in the world to the White House. It's an honor to be with them. We have many others that were not able to get in. I said if we had a ballroom, we'd have over 1,000 people. Everybody wanted. I never knew your industry was that big. I never knew you had that many people in your industry. But here we are. And if you, in fact, if you look, come to think of it, well, I got to look at this myself. Wow. What a view. This is the door to the ballroom. What a unusual time to look, but I figure we might as well do it. If the fake news would like to go back and take a look, you can, but you'll see a very big foundation that's moving. We're ahead of schedule in the ballroom and under budget. It's going to be, I don't think there'll be anything like it in the world, actually. I think it's going to be the best. We won from, this is, as you know, our biggest room, which would seat 100 for dinner, maybe, if you're lucky, if you're nice and tight. And the ballroom will seat many. And it'll also take care of the inauguration with bulletproof glass, drone-proof ceilings and everything else, unfortunately, that today you need. So we're going to discuss how these great American companies can help rapidly rebuild Venezuela's dilapidated oil industry and bring millions of barrels of oil production to benefit the United States, the people of Venezuela, and the entire world. And yesterday, the number is 30 million barrels. I can't even, is that a correct number? 30 million barrels. You hear that, Peter? Of oil was given to us by Venezuela. That's a lot of oil. It's about $4 billion worth, and it's on its way to the United States right now. And we want to thank Venezuela for that. And we're working very well with them, obviously, or they wouldn't have been so generous, but they respect us. Again, they didn't respect us at all before. So that's money that goes to the United States. Some will go to Venezuela, and some will go to the oil companies, but not that, because that's already been extracted. So when you're not getting any of that, but when you start extracting, you'll get. But it's tremendous reserves, among the biggest in the world. Some people say it is the biggest in the world. And we're going to be working with Venezuela. We're going to be making the decision as to which oil companies are going to go in, that we're going to allow to go in. Going to cut a deal with the companies. We'll probably do that today or very shortly thereafter with Chris and Doug. And we're dealing with the country, so we're empowered to make that deal. And you have total safety, total security. One of the reasons you couldn't go in is you had no guarantees, you had no security, but now you have total security. It's a whole different Venezuela, and Venezuela is going to be very successful. And the people of the United States are going to be big beneficiaries, because we're going to be extracting, numbers of, in terms of oil, like few people have ever seen, actually. So you're dealing with us directly. You're not dealing with Venezuela at all. We don't want you to deal with Venezuela. Let me thank Vice President J.D. Vance, who's doing a fantastic job. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, likewise, a fantastic job. I have good people. I like them better than my first group. But we had a great, despite that, we had a great first term. We had some great people there too, by the way. But we had a great first term. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country in the first term, but this is blowing it away. And you haven't seen anything yet. Everyone's been shocked by the numbers, 5.4% GDP. And that's despite the fact that we were badly hurt by the Democrat shutdown, of which they'd like to see if they could shut it down again. Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, was fantastic. Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, recommended by Doug as being the greatest oil man anywhere in the world, because I wanted Doug for that job, energy. And Doug said, no, sir, there's a man named Chris Wright. I said, who the hell is Chris Wright? He said he's the most talented oil man anywhere in the world. I doubt you can get him, because typically oil men make a lot of money, and women. They make a lot of money, but Chris came. You took one of the greatest salary cuts probably in history, Chris, right? But he's a fantastic person, loves our country, and many other important members of this team. And I want to thank them for their efforts. As you know, last week, the United States Armed Forces performed one of the most spectacular military operations in American history, apprehending the outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro for his crimes against the United States, crimes for which he has now been indicted and is in federal court awaiting trial. And he killed many people, millions of people, actually, and allowed jails, prisons, mental institutions, insane asylums, drug dealers, drug addicts to pour into our country totally unchecked because of Sleepy Joe Biden's policy of open borders, the stupidest thing I've ever seen. We're getting them all out. The departure of Maduro makes it possible an incredible future for both nations, Venezuela and the United States, in which we will more closely integrate the economies of two major energy powers in the Western Hemisphere. Energy coming out of Venezuela was very small. One of the things the United States gets out of this will be even lower energy prices. We have people now getting gasoline for $1.99, $1.96, $1.95, $1.92 yesterday, somebody. And it used to be $3.50, $4, $5 a gallon. Think of that, $1.99. Decades ago, the United States built Venezuela's oil industry at tremendous expense with American skill, technology, know-how, and dollars. But those assets were stolen from us. And we had presidents who did nothing about it. This president is much different than your other presidents. They did nothing about it. They stole it. Some of the people in this room were a little bit younger when that happened, but not that much younger. It wasn't that long ago. But they stole our assets like we were babies. And the United States did absolutely nothing about it. So now we're doing everything about it. Now we're doing 500% about it. But it's a long time after the act took place. So they stole from us, and it was taken by socialists and communists at the time, and Venezuela was going bad, really bad. And as much oil as they have, they're producing almost nothing, which is just a system. So we're really, if you look at it, we're taking back what was taken from us. They took our oil industry. We built that entire oil industry, started a long time ago, but they took it and they were very ungracious to this country, but now they're being very nice. American companies will have the opportunity to rebuild Venezuela's rotting energy infrastructure and eventually increase oil production to levels never, ever seen before. When you add Venezuela and the United States together, we have 55% of the oil in the world. The United States is number one. We have them drilling. Drill, baby, drill was my campaign. And Doug and Chris, I think we're setting records on drilling right now and taking oil without Venezuela. That's how we're getting the oil prices down. The plan is for them to spend, meaning our giant oil companies will be spending at least $100 billion of their money, not the government's money. They don't need government money. But they need government protection and need government security that when they spend all this money, it's going to be there so they get their money back and make a very nice return. The plan is for them to spend at least $100 billion to rebuild the capacity and the infrastructure necessary. Venezuela has also agreed that the United States will immediately begin refining and selling up to 50 million barrels of Venezuelan crude oil, which will continue indefinitely. We're all set to do it. We have the refining capacity. It was actually based very much on the Venezuelan oil, which is a heavy oil, very good oil, great oil. It's fantastic for certain things like asphalt roads. Best there is in the world for asphalt roads and other things. All of the companies here today are going to be treasured partners in bringing the nation of Venezuela back to life, restoring its economy and generating great wealth for their companies and for their people, and also great wealth for the American people, and tremendous wealth for the companies that are going in. The companies that are going in, and if you don't want to go in, just let me know, because I got 25 people that aren't here today that are willing to take your place. So I just want to thank, these are people that I either know or I know of by reading lots of business magazines and journals and papers. And these are the greatest oil people anywhere in the world. Harold Hamm, I see is here. Harold, you know, there's a story about Harold Hamm that he can look at a piece of land, put a straw into the land, and oil pours out. Is that true about you? Whereas some of you guys have to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to find that oil. So we can't let that story be true. But they say Harold puts a straw into the land and oil comes gushing out. So you're not a big R&D person, are you, huh? He's called Instinct for Oil. Now, he's got other problems, but we won't talk about those problems. But he's been a great supporter of mine for a long time, haven't you, Harold? So congratulations. But we have, and I think Harold would agree, we have the greatest oil men and women anywhere in the world sitting in this room right now. And we have a lot of people that will be back to see us sometime next week. We're going to have another meeting for another group. But we're going to do this very quickly. We can have this done almost immediately. So I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to invite Vice President Vance to say a few words, followed by Secretaries Rubio, Burgum, and Wright. And then we'll have a few words from representatives that are here to discuss their ideas, a couple of them. We have Chevron, which has been, where's Chevron? Where are you?
Yeah, far right.
No, I thought you'd have a better location. You were the only one that was there for all that. I used to call you and say, what the hell is going on with Venezuela? He stuck it out. I don't know if you made money or not, but you stuck it out. I got to give you a lot of credit for that. Mark Nelson, thank you very much. Exxon CEO Darren Woods. Darren, thank you very much. How's Exxon doing? Okay.
All right.
They'll do a lot better now, won't they? Huh? Exxon's been amazing. It's been an amazing company. And ConocoPhillips CEO Ryan Lance, thank you very much. So you guys could say something, and then we'll take some questions from the press. And if anybody else would like to speak, we'll have you speak. We have all the time in the world. This is a big subject. This is massive wealth. And more importantly than massive wealth, it leads to lower taxes and a lot of jobs for Americans and for Venezuelans, but for Americans in this case. And I just, again, appreciate you all being here. And I'd like to ask JD to say a few words, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks to everybody for being here. You know, as a Marine Corps veteran for my entire lifetime, presidents, and let's be honest, they were Democrats and Republicans, would send the American military to far off places. They would get us involved in these endless quagmires. They would lose hundreds or thousands of American lives, and the American people would get nothing out of these misadventures. And now you have an American president who's empowered the American military to stop the flow of drugs into our country and to ensure that we, as opposed to our adversaries, control one of the great energy reserves that exist anywhere in the entire world. And he did it without losing a single American life in the process. It was an amazing operation. It's going to make our country richer. It's going to make our country more powerful. It's going to make our country safer. And it's going to lead to the decline, the further decline of drug overdose deaths in the United States of America. An amazing thing. And I'm happy to be here to talk about how we can make it an even bigger and better operation for the American people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Marco?
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think this is a reminder that everything this president does, everything President Trump does is with the American people in mind. It was not in the national interest or national security of the United States and of our people to have in our own hemisphere a country, not just with vast energy reserves, but controlled by an indicted narco trafficker who flooded our country with illegal immigration, including drug gang members, openly cooperated with drug gangs, and by the way, stole the wealth of that country to fund a repressive regime and also benefit adversaries such as Iran. All of that is now changing. As part of this process, the first phase, of course, is the phase we're in now, which is the stabilization phase. We did not want to see destabilization in the country. We're working very cooperatively with the interim authorities there to provide a market for the sale of the wealth of Venezuela in such a way that benefits the people, both of the United States, but also the people of Venezuela. And as a reminder to everyone, the president announced this just 2 days ago, every penny, everything they buy with the money that they're making from the oil now, Mr. President, will be bought from America. And that includes everything from equipment for the oil industry to food to medicine and everything in between. The second will be a phase of recovery. And then some of these phases will overlap. And that is to have a normal economy again, where the money goes to the benefit of people, not the benefit of our adversaries or the benefit of elements in that country and around the world that are against our interests. At the same time as the process of reconciliation has to happen internally among the different sectors of society and politics and the like. And finally, the third phase, which is the most important of the three, is when the country fully transitions into a normal country that we have strong economic and diplomatic and relations with, that is friendly towards the United States, that's not a foothold for our adversaries, that serves our interests, but also the interests of the people. It'll be a country that is wealthy, a country that is prosperous for the people, not for a handful of criminals, but also a country that is supportive of our interests in the region and throughout the world. And we thank you, Mr. President, and the team you've assembled that have brought us to this point. A lot of work remains, important work, but this is historic.
Okay, thank you very much. Doug?
Well, Mr. President, I want to thank you for your leadership, not just as president, but as commander-in-chief. The boldness, the execution, the breathtakingly precise work that you've delivered both in Iran back in June and here has changed the field for the whole world. And you always ran about the idea of peace and prosperity. And in Venezuela, as you know, this was a playground for every bad actor in the world. We had Russians, Iran, terror groups, all of them profiting from this criminal organization that was pretending to run the country. That makes America safer. You've secured the border, we're stopping the flow of drugs, and now with the normalization of relationships on an economic basis, it's going to mean tremendously for the prosperity of the American people. So I just want to say again, congratulations to you and to the entire leadership team. It's been an amazing, historic week on the scale of things that we haven't seen perhaps for 125 years in terms of the U.S. Exerting its influence over Latin America in a way that's going to make a change for generations. And on behalf of all the oil executives that are here today, Chris and I want to say thank you to all of you. It's your technology, your innovation that has put America in the place where today we are the most energy dominant country in the world. And that position is what's allowed us to take the action that we're taking with statecraft, with military action. None of that would happen if we were dependent on everybody else for energy. So you're a big part of the reason that we're able to move the way we are today. And we're grateful that you're here to be part of the solution going forward.
Thank you, Doug. And you are doing a fantastic job, and we appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. They know who's doing well. Chris Wright?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, what we've seen in the last week is leadership matters and credibility matters. Venezuelan oil has been sanctioned for many years, and the oil just flew, those sanctions were not enforced. That oil just floated out, trafficked by bad actors of the world. The resources weren't gone to a central place. The corruption and decline of Venezuela has been a crisis for the people of Venezuela. And as Secretary Rubio said, massive spillover effects in the United States. in crime and drugs and kidnappings, and in taking a huge resource base and making it not exploited, not developed. The whole world is a poorer, less opportunity-rich place because of that. When you have materials underground, they've been underground for 1 million years. That does not make them a resource. That does not make them valuable for your country, your people, or the world. They only become a resource with technology, with capital, with rule of law, and a system of governance that encourages the harvesting of those resources to make the better world. And we see here the dramatic contrast between the United States, which may have less oil underground than Venezuela. We have 20 times the production of Venezuela, 20 times the impact of human betterment, massively better quality of living here in the United States. That was at risk under the last administration. We've seen a lot of attacks on the energy that makes the world go round. President Trump's election has removed those risks, has embraced reality about how the world is energized. And we are record production of oil in the United States, record production in natural gas in the United States. We've seen a meaningful decline in gasoline prices, diesel prices, travel prices because of jet fuel. And now President Trump is taking the genius of a different way to try to solve a 25-year festering problem in Venezuela, that all the traditional things have not worked, but ordering both a tremendous military operation to remove the heads of a criminal organization masquerading as a government, and then to use the power of our military, not to fire bullets, but to stop the flow of Venezuelan oil to the world, immediately gave us leverage over the interim authorities in Venezuela and has allowed us to be in this position today where the actions of this government can massively improve Venezuela for the better. And the bigger impact is to massively improve the quality of life, affordability, safety, and security of the United States. Very proud to be here. And we'll turn it over to Mark Nelson, who's the vice chairman of Chevron. Chevron has been in Venezuela for over 100 years continuously. Mike Wirth, the CEO, had a knee replacement recently. He's not here. Mark is a tremendous leader in our industry, and I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Secretary Wright. Again, I'll send Mike Wirth's regrets. He really wanted to be here, Mr. President.
Great guy.
On his behalf, I have 3 very quick thank yous and an assurance I'd like to provide you all. The first thank you, Mr. President, is to you. It's thank you for convening this gathering. It's thank you for your leadership, and thank you for continuing to keep American energy domination in the forefront. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
The second thank you actually is to the cabinet. So Secretary Rubio, Secretary Berg, and Secretary Wright, your ability and commitment to continue to engage with the parties around the table to keep the world working is greatly appreciated. So thank you for that. And the final thank you actually would go to our Venezuelan employees of Chevron. They have been working tirelessly to operate safely, protect the environment in country, and their dedication and skill will help us in this next chapter. And finally, I'll close with the assurance. For more than a century, Chevron has been a part of Venezuela's past. We are certainly committed to its present, and we very much look forward as a proud American company to help it build a better future. And so, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership.
You really suffered there. You stuck it out. A lot of people left. A lot of big companies left. Some of the people, many of the people sitting at this table left because of the safety risk and other risks. But you stuck it out. I give you credit for that. Sometimes it was hard. I remember 6 months ago, I told you to stay, just stay. Things are going to happen. You'll be very happy. I didn't know they were going to happen this fast or this conclusively. One thing I think everyone has to know is that if we didn't do this, China or Russia would have done it. And if China or Russia were a next door neighbor, because essentially this is not around the other parts of the world so far away where you fly in an airplane for 24 hours before you get there. This is sort of a next door neighbor if you think about it. And I told China and I told Russia, we get along with you very well. We like you very much. We don't want you there. Not going to be there. And if we didn't do this, China would have been there and Russia would have been there. Maybe they both would have been there together, but they're not going to be there now. One thing I will tell them, and I will tell you, that we are open for business. China can buy all the oil they want from us there or in the United States. Russia can get all the oil they need from us, and they do like oil, even though they produce a lot of it. But China and Russia and everybody else is able to go, and we'll be open for business almost immediately. I have a feeling the $100 million will be spent $100 billion will be spent very, very rapidly by these very big, powerful, and rich companies. And I think they're going to be able to rebuild the infrastructure. And I hope it's going to be brand new as opposed to a rehab, because I know the tremendous difference between the new and the not so new in your industry. The new is much more beautiful, much better in every way, and actually much smaller. It's like everything else, gets smaller and stronger. It's a combination of smaller, better, and stronger. So I hope you're going to build all brand new stuff, rip out the old crap that's been there for so many years, and do it the right way. You're going to be there a long time. If we make a deal, you're going to be there a long time. If we don't make a deal, you won't be there at all. It's, sort of interesting. But again, China and Russia would have been there if we didn't do this. And the other thing people ask about the second wave, I don't think it's going to be necessary. We have an armada, a giant armada like nobody's ever seen in that part of the world. And it's stationed off the coast. And we are getting along so well with the people that are involved in representing Venezuela that I don't think we're going to have any, I don't think it's going to be necessary to do the second wave. We were planning on a second wave, but the first wave was so powerful and so good and so strong. And frankly, the people in the country, they did the right thing. They were smart. They did the right thing. They didn't want to go through a second wave. But we've got a tremendous number of the most powerful ships in the world right there. I don't think we're going to have to use that. I'm happy to say that. I don't think we're going to have to use that at all. If I could ask Chevron, you did a great job. I want to thank you. And ExxonMobil, if you would say a few words, and then followed by Conoco, great companies, massive companies, great companies. Exxon, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the invitation and the opportunity, frankly, for the entire industry to show up and provide a perspective. Frankly, we've been kind of unresponsive to the press regarding Venezuela. I guess today's the opportunity to address the press directly with respect to a number of questions that have been asked of ExxonMobil. First and foremost, obviously, is the interest that we have in Venezuela. And I think, the way I would position that, I think one of the reasons why we see many of the industry players here is we're in a depletion business for a product that is in great demand and will be in demand for many, many, many decades to come. And as a depletion business, the biggest challenge we have is finding resources. There's an opportunity in Venezuela with all the resources there is we don't have that challenge of finding, we have the challenge of developing those resources. So I think it's in the best interest of these companies and frankly society as a whole for the industry to be interested in understanding what the opportunity represents. I'll just share a philosophy that ExxonMobil has when we enter countries, because we do business all around the world in a number of different regimes. We take a very long-term perspective. The investments that we make span decades and decades, so we do not go into any opportunity with a short-term mindset. There's a value proposition that we have to meet. It has to be a win-win-win proposition. Obviously, it has to be a win for the company and our shareholders and to generate a return for the investments that we make. It has to be a win for the government. The resources are an important source of revenue that help support the people of the places that we do business. And it has to be a win for the people. We have to be wanted there and to be a good neighbor. And those three things ensure a stable, long-term platform for the large investments that we make for the long term. With respect to Venezuela in particular, we have a very long history in Venezuela. In fact, we first started into Venezuela back in the 1940s. We've had our assets seized there twice. And so you can imagine to re-enter a third time would require some pretty significant changes from what we've historically seen here and what is currently the state. If we look at the legal and commercial constructs and frameworks in place today in Venezuela, today it's uninvestable. And so significant changes have to be made to those commercial frameworks, the legal system. There has to be durable investment protections, and there has to be a change to the hydrocarbon laws in the country. We're confident that with this administration and President Trump working hand in hand with the Venezuelan government, that those changes can be put in place. And with respect to the Venezuelan government, that perspective we don't have a view on. We haven't talked to the Venezuelan government, and obviously we have yet to assess the people's perspective with respect to ExxonMobil entering the country. In the short term, there are things that can be done while the longer term issues are being worked. For us, we haven't been in the country for almost 20 years. We think it's absolutely critical in the short term that we get a technical team in place to assess the current state of the industry and the assets, to understand what would be involved to help the people of Venezuela get production back on the market. With the invitation of the Venezuelan government and with appropriate security guarantees, we are ready to put a team on the ground there. We also have a integrated set of capabilities from production to refining to trading, and I think we can be of assistance to getting the Venezuelan crude to market and realizing a market price to help again with the financial situation in Venezuela. So those are my short-term perspective that I have. I'd say maybe close with a thank you, Mr. President, for the work that you've done to secure not only the national security, but the energy security of the region. And then thank you, Secretary Rubio, Secretary Wright, Secretary Burgum, for your leadership in this matter. Thank you.
How long would it take you, Darren, as Exxon to, if we make a deal, and if we make a deal, how long would it take you to get in there and get started?
Well, the first step, this technical team, as I talked with Secretary Wright earlier this week, we started from the beginning to put the team together so that if and when it was needed, we could hit the ground almost immediately. So we can hit the ground and within the next couple of weeks, start the assessment.
Right.
And then from there, we need to understand.
That's what we want. That's what we want. Thank you, Darren. And Conoco, Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate the opportunity to be here too. And you've assembled a great team. And our congratulations as well for removing one of the terrible people in the world and bringing them to justice. It was quite amazing. I think you've given hope to the people of Venezuela again, which I think is quite remarkable. And we've been on the other end of that despot regime a long time. Our assets were expropriated. I had a little bit more here when that happened. And, you know, I think we're the largest non-sovereign credit holder in Venezuela today. So we're in a bit of a different situation, but I think your big and bold idea to use energy commerce instead of conflict is something that could make a real big difference in Venezuela. And our company certainly stands ready to help in that endeavor. Encourage you to continue to think bigger and even bolder. And we've had some discussions with your energy team about that as well, as we think about the other people that need to be in this room and in this discussion are the banks, and including probably the Exim Bank, as we think about how the debt needs to be restructured and the financing to deliver the billions of dollars that are required to restore their energy infrastructure. And I think as we think that big and bold, we need to be also thinking about even restructuring the entire Venezuelan energy system, including PDVSA. And I think if we can do that and think bold, there's an opportunity to be quick, fast, and restore the quality of what's happened in Venezuela, or what's been lost in Venezuela over the course of the last 25 years. So thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, and you'll get a lot of your money back. We're going to start with an even plate, though. We're not going to look at what people lost in the past, because that was their fault. That was a different president. You're going to make a lot of money, but we're not going to go back. And you left a lot of money behind, I guess, huh? What number?
12 billion.
How much?
12 billion.
Well, it's a good write-off.
It's already been written off.
It's been written off. All right, thank you. You'll make it back one way or the other. You're all going to do very well. I think really very well. Marco just gave me a note. Go back to Chevron. They want to discuss something. Go ahead. I'm going back to Chevron. Thank you, Marco.
Was there a question, Mr. President?
Yes, go ahead, Marco. What are you saying here?
Mark,
Mark, if you can update us on operations in the ground and with the appropriate approvals, what you might be able to achieve in the next 12 to 18 months, give us a little view from the ground.
You bet. So today Chevron has 3,000 employees in 4 different joint ventures in Venezuela today. And over the past 5 to 7 years, they've taken production from about 40,000 barrels a day to 240,000 barrels a day, essentially getting those facilities and that equipment up to standards that would be something that people in the room would be more accustomed to. Given the work we've done with Secretary Wright and Secretary Burgum and even Secretary Bessent, I think we have a path forward here very shortly to be able to increase our liftings from those joint ventures 100%, essentially effective immediately. We are also able to increase our production within our own disciplined investment schemes by about 50% just in the next 18 to 24 months. And that's just leveraging what's on the ground. So to Secretary Rubio's comments about phase 1, this is taking the momentum of improvements we've already made there locally and building on those and creating more momentum for the people of Venezuela.
Do you think you have an advantage being there? It's, you've been there by the skin of your teeth. It's been tough for you to be there, but do you think you have an advantage over the other people in this room by the fact that you are there?
Yeah, I think there are, Mr. President, I think there would be days where it didn't feel like an advantage, and there are days where it does feel like an advantage. But having people on the ground today that care desperately about the people of Venezuela and know how to operate the assets that are there, that is a definite advantage today.
Would you say the best locations are available, or would you say the best locations are already sort of worked, even though they're in very bad shape? The best locations for finding oil, the best locations for oil.
There are more opportunities than not, Mr. President. With 300 billion barrels of reserves and resources in country, there are lots of opportunities for many companies.
Will you be building new, or will you be using the old infrastructure that you have?
Yeah, today it's a little bit of a mix, but today it's mostly us taking the equipment of today, getting it to the standards that we are accustomed to your comments about making it how it should be today. Most of the investments that we've been making are about getting it up to our standards.
Well, I think you're going to make an investment, but you're going to get your money back very quickly, and that's part of our thing. We're going to have you get your money back fast, and then you'll give a lot to Venezuela and to the United States after that. Okay, so you'll be in good shape. Could I ask Carol Tam to say a few words? He's been a friend of mine for a long time. Very amazing man, actually, amazing energy person.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. It's good to be here with so many dignified people. And this effort particularly, and thank you for your effort for what you've done here, taking this despot out of that area. And the world dealt with him way too long. Certainly our industry knows that this is a real jewel that can be developed and for the people of Venezuela and also benefit the world. And like Secretary Wright said, it has not been done. That's not been done in the past, and they had a good chance at it. Brought someone in that totally took it down, as everybody knows here, and that was Chavez. And we know what happened to him finally. But that ruined the industry in Venezuela, and all of us know how that happened. Ended very well, very, very wrongly. So anyway, we're glad to see what's happened here and look forward for the opportunity for a lot of people in this room, but also for America and the country itself.
Are you going to be involved in going in? Because, he's in North Dakota and he's in Oklahoma and some incredible places. It's a little bit different, but there's no doubt about you won't have to worry about the struggle too much here. You can just go at it. Are you going to be one of the participants?
Well, certainly, I'm an oil finder, like you said. Barry Switzer, told that story.
The coach.
He's kind of exaggerating a bit. It doesn't come out quite that easily usually. But anyway, great story. I love it. But I love Barry.
Barry's the one that told me this.
Yeah, he's a champion, and in a lot of ways. So love that story. Certainly, it excites me as an explorationist. Everybody has that in their blood, and And, it is a very exciting country and a lot of reserves. And so it's got its challenges, and the industry knows how to handle that. And like Darren said, you go into your eyes open and do the best you can with the team you got. So
Well, you're going to
thank
have
you.
something that they never had really here is tremendous security. You're going to be very secure, very safe, physically safe in addition to financially safe. So it's good to see you, Harold. Thank you very much. Does anybody have anything to say before we get to the press?
What does Cuba have to do to avoid the same fate as Venezuela? What does Cuba have to do?
Well, Cuba's in bad shape. Cuba relied on Venezuela for oil and for money. And nobody really knows what's going to happen with Cuba. They're doing very poorly. They're really third world all the way. And we have a lot of great Cuban Americans. And I would say Marco fits very solidly into that category. And I might ask you to say a few words about, we were discussing it before, Cuba is a very different, they don't have energy, they don't have oil, but they would live off of the oil from Venezuela. And what they do have is very strong people and very powerful people militarily, and they would protect the people running Venezuela, and they would take in a lot of money from Venezuela. Now they don't have that. They won't be taking in any money. So, Marco, what do you think?
Well, the fundamental problem in Cuba is that it's run by incompetent people that don't know what an economy looks like, much less a functioning one. They've made a choice, and that is they would rather have political control over their people than they would have an economy that functions. And they've gotten away with it for 60-something years because they've had donors, the Soviet Union, and now most recently Venezuela, but that's now gone. So the people in control in Cuba have a choice to make. They can either have a real country with a real economy where their people can prosper, or they can continue with their failing dictatorship that's going to lead to systemic and societal collapse. That's a very stark and dramatic choice, and it's one we hope to make the right one. We don't have an interest in a destabilized Cuba, but that would be their fault because they refuse to allow the people of Cuba to have either economic or political freedom for that matter.
And you have a lot of people in this country that want to go back to Cuba and help Cuba. A lot of people have left, they came in penniless, they didn't have anything, and they've become very rich people in our country, and they want to very much go back and help Cuba. So that's something that Cuba has that a lot of other places don't have. Peter?
President Trump, thank you. I do want to ask you about Minnesota, but first, just more on topic. President Zelensky said that he was watching with the rest of the world as you made this order to go and capture Nicolas Maduro. And he said, if that's how it works with dictators, then the United States knows what to do next. Sounds like he wants you to go and capture Vladimir Putin. Would you ever order a mission to go and capture Vladimir Putin?
Well, I don't think it's going to be necessary. I think we're going to have I've always had a great relationship with him. I'm very disappointed. I settled 8 wars. I thought this would be in the middle of the pack or maybe one of the easier ones. And I don't know if you know, Peter, the last month, they lost 31,000 people, many of them Russian soldiers, and the Russian economy is doing poorly. I think we're going to end up getting it settled. I wish we could have done it quicker because a lot of people are dying, and mostly soldiers. They get hit in Kiev and they get hit a little bit here and there, and people are dying there too. But largely, it's the soldier population. When you have 30,000, 31,000 soldiers dying in a period of a month, 27,000 the month before, 26,000 the month before that. That's bad stuff. So, as you know, President Biden gave $350 billion to Ukraine to fight. And we would never get that back, although I did make a rare earth deal to get it back. So we will be getting it back, but shouldn't have done that. It was a bad thing to do. I will say that right now, because I was able to get NATO to up GDP from 2% to 5%. NATO's got a lot of money, and they're paying for everything. We're not losing any money. We're making a lot of money, I guess, if you think of it, because we're selling them military equipment. They're probably giving it to Ukraine. But we're selling them to NATO military equipment. We're getting full price and all of that. But that's not a big deal to me. What is a big deal is stopping a war where 30,000 people are being killed every single month.
And on Minnesota, the vice president yesterday suggested that Renee Good, who was killed by this ICE officer, was part of a broad left-wing network. What has your team told you about this broad left-wing network? Who is in charge of it? Who's part of it? What's it called?
Well, I haven't seen the vice president's statement, but he's generally very accurate. I hate to say Look, I watched that yesterday, and there were a lot of different forms to it. But there was a woman screaming, shame, 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 shame. She was a agitator, probably a paid agitator, but in my opinion, she was an agitator, a very high-level agitator, so professional. She wouldn't stop screaming. I said, this isn't a normal situation. This is a professional troublemaker. Because you heard it and I had it. Now, I will say this, the news sort of turned her down, turned her off, because you're trying to watch. She was so loud and so crazy and just not normal. When somebody sees something like that, they don't go screaming and the same words. So I guess you could say professional, but I didn't think she did a very good job. You have agitators, and we will always be protecting ICE, and we're always going to be protecting our Border Patrol and our law enforcement.
Mr. President, in your conversations with these oil executives today, did you provide any security guarantees so that they can do their work safely in Venezuela? Yeah. And separately, Mr. President,
they will have those guarantees, yes.
And secondly, Mr. President, I'm curious in terms of the future of Venezuela. Do you see Venezuela now led by Delcy Rodriguez as an ally of the U.S.? Is that the way that you view that country?
Well, right now they seem to be an ally, and I think it'll continue to be an ally. And we don't want to have Russia there. We don't want to have China there. And by the way, we don't want Russia or China going to Greenland, which if we don't take Greenland, you're going to have Russia or China as your next door neighbor. That's not going to happen. The white.
Mr. President, thank you. You just said that these companies would have security guarantees if they go in on the ground in Venezuela.
They will have.
And what is your plan there actually for these companies and those Americans who are going to be on the ground working for these companies?
Well, there are going to be Americans. I assume they're going to be using a lot of Americans, but they're going to be using a lot of people from Venezuela and other places, I would imagine. But I would think that mostly they'll be using Venezuelan workers. They have a lot of great workers. They have a very high unemployment rate, and they have workers that are very familiar with taking oil out of the ground. Yeah.
How long do you think the Ayatollah will be in power after what we've seen play out on the ground there? When is the U.S. going to get involved now that reports of protesters being killed on the ground?
So Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So we don't want that to happen. There have been cases like this where President Obama totally backed down. But this is something pretty incredible that's happening in Iran. It's an amazing thing to watch. They've done a bad job. They've treated their people very badly, and now they're being paid back. So let's see what happens. We're watching it. We're watching it very closely. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Do you have any comments in reaction to the recent attacks by the Syrian government alignment groups against US-backed Kurdish forces in Aleppo, Syria, which killed dozens of civilians and displacing many families? Does your administration bring peace between the Kurds and the Syrian government?
I want to see peace, yes, I do. The Kurds and the Syrian government, we get along with both, as you know very well. They have been natural enemies over the years, but we get along both, and we want to see Syria succeed. And so far, I think they are succeeding, but this is just breaking out, and we want to see that stopped. Go ahead.
You're meeting with the president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, in a few weeks. Do you hope this meeting with Gustavo Petro marks a new chapter, a new beginning in the benefit of the U.S.-Colombia relationship?
What country?
Colombia, with the president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro.
I had a very good talk with him yesterday, and he's been very hostile to us and to the nation and to me, called me a dictator, lots of other things. Called Biden some terrible names, far worse than he called me. But he called yesterday through people, and he wants to meet, and that's fine with me. I've made up with people also, so we're going to have a meeting with him. We had a very good conversation. The people of Colombia are incredible people. Marco would know that better than anybody because he's married to a woman from Colombia. And I don't mean Columbia University. That would be, I'm not sure. I think I like Columbia, the country, better. If you want to know the truth, hold it. The people are great people. I look forward to meeting with them. We're going to meet in the very near future.
Would you meet the interim president of Venezuela here in the White House? Would you greet her to discuss the fate of the oil?
Yeah, well, I'm going to meet a lot of people, and we're going to meet. We meet a lot of people. When you end 8 wars, you get to know a lot of people, and I think it's very important. As an example, we have over $18 trillion. Think of it, $18 trillion coming into our country. A lot of that's coming in from foreign countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE and others. And I get to meet a lot of people, but I will be meeting with various representatives of Venezuela probably pretty soon. We haven't set that up. But the relationship that we have with the people that are currently running Venezuela is very good. We also have a young lady that received the Nobel Peace Prize. She's going to come in and pay her regards to our country, really, to me. But, I'm a representative of the country, nothing else. And she's coming in sometime next week, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. And we'll see how that is. But no, we're dealing with the people from Venezuela. We're dealing with them very well. I think they've been very smart in the way they've dealt with us, frankly, because that whole place could have been obliterated with one more strike, and we didn't want to do that.
Thank you so much. I have a question for you on Minneapolis, but on Venezuela and your meeting with Machado next week. If she gives you her Nobel Peace Prize, will that change your view about her running that country?
Well, I have to speak to her. I'm going to have to speak to her. She might be involved in some aspect of it. I will have to speak to her. I think it's very nice that she wants to come in, and that's what I understand the reason is, because Norway is very embarrassed by what took place. They're getting decimated. Look, whether people like Trump or don't like Trump, I settled 8 wars, big ones, some going on for 36 years, 32 years, 31 years, 28 years, 25 years. Some just getting ready to start, like India and Pakistan, where already 8 jets were shot out of the air. And I got it done in rapid order without nuclear weapons. I can't think of anybody in history that should get the Nobel Prize more than me. And I don't want to be bragging, but nobody else settled wars. Obama got the Nobel Prize. He had no idea why. He still has no idea. He walks around, he says, I got the Nobel Prize. Why did he get a Nobel Prize? He got it almost immediately upon attaining office, and he didn't do anything, and he was a bad president. So, you should get the Nobel Prize for every war you stopped. These were major wars. These were wars that nobody thought could be stopped. President Putin called me and he said about 2 of the wars that he's been trying to stop them for 10 years. He wasn't able to do it. He couldn't believe it. So in theory, you should get the Nobel Prize for every war you stopped. Every one of them was major. But I don't care about that. What I care about is saving lives. I've saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan came here and he made a very public statement. He said that President Trump saved minimum 10 million lives having to do with Pakistan and India, and that was going to be raging. So, but I'm honored that she's coming here. I look forward to meeting her, yes. Go ahead.
On Minneapolis, Mr. President, I have a follow-up for you.
The state officials there have said that the FBI is not sharing evidence with them. Typically, they would conduct a joint investigation, as you know. Do you believe that the FBI should be sharing evidence with state officials in Minnesota?
Well, normally I would, but they're crooked officials. Minneapolis and Minnesota, what a beautiful place, but it's being destroyed. It's got an incompetent governor, fool. He's a stupid person. And it looks like the number could be $19 billion stolen from a lot of people, but largely people from Somalia. They buy their vote. They vote in a group. They buy their vote. They sell more Mercedes-Benzes in that area than almost. Can you imagine? You come home with no money, and then shortly thereafter you're driving a Mercedes-Benz. The whole thing is ridiculous. So they're very corrupt people. It's a very corrupt state. I feel that I won Minnesota. I think I won it all 3 times. Nobody's won it since Richard Nixon won it many, many years ago. I won it all 3 times, in my opinion. And it's a corrupt state, a corrupt voting state. And the Republicans ought to get smart and demand on voter ID. They ought to demand maybe same-day voting and all of the other things that you have to have a safe election. But I won Minnesota 3 times and I didn't get credit for it. I did so well in that state every time. The people were crying every time after. That's a crooked state. California is a crooked state. Many crooked states. We have a very, very dishonest voting system. The last time I won, 24, the one that just took place, I won because it was too big to rig. You couldn't rig it. It was too big. But I won the state of Minnesota. It's a corrupt voting system with an incompetent governor, a very incompetent governor. And by the way, he's a very corrupt governor, too. Go ahead.
I have a question on Iran, but first, very quickly on Venezuela. How do you provide total security guarantees to these companies without putting U.S. boots on the ground?
Well, we're going to work with the Venezuelan leaders and people, and we're going to have a very safe group, and they're going to also bring over some security with them. You know, these are not babies. These are people that drill oil in some pretty rough places. I could say a couple of those places make Venezuela look like a picnic. These people around the table, these are tough people. They go into areas that you wouldn't want to go. They go into areas that if they invited me, I'd say, no, thanks. I'll see you back in Palm Beach. Now, this is a tough group of people. They know how to do it. But we are, in addition to that, we'll have very good security for them. We're going to make sure there's very, very good security. And I think the people of Venezuela are going to give you very good security. You know, the people... No, I'm not talking even leadership. The people of Venezuela are going wild over this. They named a street after President Trump. What do? You attack a country and they name a street? That's never happened before. Although I heard that's also taking place in Iran. They named a street, the protesters. I just hope, you know, just God bless them. I just hope the protesters in Iran are going to be safe because that's a very dangerous place right now. And again, I tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting because we'll start shooting too. With your glasses, sir, go ahead. Hold it. Next to you. Yes, glasses. The gentleman with the glasses.
All right, thank you, Mr. President.
With those very big glasses, actually.
Yeah, Ferrari, actually. Mr. President, I have 2 questions. What do you want the European Union to do in Ukraine? The European leaders are pretty divided on Ukraine. And then if you can reiterate this straight message that you have to the Iranian leader, to Khomeini, the message that you have.
You're talking about Iran?
Oh, Iran, yeah.
What do
First one is on
Iran
Europe.
to do?
I'm sorry?
Where are you from?
Italy.
Oh, nice place.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first question.
So what are you asking about Iran for?
Well, if you can answer about Europe and what do you think the Europeans should do on Ukraine, and then a message.
Well, look, Europe has been doing so much for Ukraine, but it hasn't been enough. And obviously that I would say that President Putin is not afraid of Europe. He's afraid of the United States of America, as led by me. There's no fear of Europe. You know, Europe's fallen behind, and Europe, and JD said it very strongly. I don't know, he took a lot of heat, but I didn't give him any heat. Europe is a different place. Europe is changing. Europe has got to get its act together. I love Europe. I guess I came from Europe, essentially. I have my roots are in Europe, but Europe is a different place. They have to get their act together. Now they've said they have a great NATO leader, and they've gone up to 5% from 2% GDP. That's a big step. But they have to be very careful with their immigration policy, and they have to be very, because, you know, I will just say, to be nice, that there are certain places in Europe that are very important that are no longer recognizable. I'm being very nice. I'm being very diplomatic when I say that. They are not recognizable. And they have to be careful on energy because they're putting windmills all over the place and losing a fortune. They're destroying their country. They're just destroying the beautiful landscapes, the beautiful everything. They're doing, by the way, in case you people don't know, I'm not much of a windmill person. I can proudly say, Doug, that we have not approved one windmill since I've been in office, and we're going to keep it that way. My goal is to not let any windmill be built. They're losers. They lose money. They destroy your landscape. They kill your birds. They're all made in China. And all you have to do is, you know, just about all of the windmills are made in China, the structures. All you have to do is say to China, how many windmill areas do you have in China? So far, they're not able to find any. They use coal and they use oil and gas and some nuclear, not much. But they don't have windmills. They make them and sell them to suckers like Europe and suckers like the United States before. They are the worst form of energy, the most expensive form of energy, and in 8 years, they're rotted out anyway. Go take a look at Palm Springs, California, and take a look at what that looks like. It looks like a junkyard of steel. So we don't approve, and I've told my people, we will not approve windmills. Maybe we get forced to do something because some stupid person in the Biden administration agreed to do something years ago. We will not approve any windmills in this country.
Two questions. On Venezuela, is it ultimately more important to you to establish stability there or democracy there?
Well, you're talking about maybe the same thing. I mean, you're talking about stability or democracy. I don't know. To me, it's almost the same thing. We want stability, but we do want democracy. Ultimately, it'll be democracy. Peter?
I do have a policy question, President Trump, but I'm having a hard time seeing here. I see the American flag lapel pin. What is the other lapel pin? On
Somebody gave me this. You know what that is? That's called the happy Trump. And considering the fact that I'm never happy, I'm never satisfied. I will never be satisfied until we make America great again, but we're getting pretty close, I'll tell you what. This is called the happy Trump. Somebody gave it to me. I put it on.
Thank you. And policy question. How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. Because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, you know, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too, I have to tell you, and you know, they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but you know, the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. I'm sure we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger, there are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way. Please, go ahead, ma'am.
On Greenland, Mr. President, why is it so important to you to own it when you have a military presence there, which you could expand to affect security?
Because when we own it, we defend it. You don't defend leases the same way. You have to own it. And, you know, with a nation, look at what happened with Obama, with that horrible deal they made with Iran. It was a short-term deal. It was like a 9-year deal. Countries can't make 9-year deals or even 100-year deals. Countries have to have ownership. And you defend ownership, you don't defend leases. And we'll have to defend Greenland. If we don't do it, China or Russia will. It's not going to happen. We are not going to have, and I like China, I like Russia, I love the people of China, I love the people of Russia. I get along very well with President Putin, but I'm very disappointed in him. I get along very well with President Xi. I'm going to go over to China in April, but I don't want them as a neighbor in Greenland. Not going to happen. And by the way, and NATO's got to understand that. I'm all for NATO. I saved NATO. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have a NATO right now. But we're not going to allow Russia or China to occupy Greenland, and that's what's going to happen if we don't. Go ahead.
On the economic report that came out today, Mr. President, one, can you respond to that? And two,
It was an amazing report. The most amazing thing is government jobs are way down, and yet the unemployment or the employment numbers are very good. We've gotten rid of tremendous numbers of federal government jobs. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And yet the employment numbers are very good. They're really getting better. But now we have all those people to work in the private sector for a lot more money. I think that's one of the very big things. The other thing is at 5.4%. And remember, this is after we had a shutdown. And that shutdown had an impact because the concept of the shutdown even though it's before, people knew we were going to be shutting down. A lot of bad things happened. And by the way, on January 30th, you may have another shutdown. We'll see what happens. But I think the numbers, Caitlin, were really amazing. Look, to think about 5.4%, nobody thought that. They thought it was going to be 2%. And you know what it is? It's tariffs. And it's also November 5th. We had a great election, a great election. Our country was dead 1.5 years ago. And now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I hope you guys were impressed. 5.4%. And we haven't even really transitioned yet. There's no reason it can't be much, much higher than that. Yeah.
In response to the manufacturing.
Let's give CNN a chance. You know, they've been fighting so hard to get back into the mainstream.
Mr. President, you posted some numbers actually on Truth Social last night. People saying you posted the job data early when you're not supposed to obviously share it till the next morning. Did you do that on purpose?
No, I don't know. If they posted them, I said post them whenever you get a chance. I don't know. They gave me some numbers. When people give me things, I post them. But the numbers are amazing. Yeah.
Administration plan to distribute the money from the Venezuela oil sales? Is it, well, obviously you say it's going to go to these controlled accounts. Would it go back to Venezuela in a direct payment? Is it going through these goods? How do you plan to do that?
Well, we want to make sure that Venezuela can survive. You know, Venezuela needs money, and we're going to make sure that they get money. And we're going to get money, and the oil companies are going to make something for the work they do. They're going to get back their money. We're devising a formula, but it won't be so much of a formula. It's going to be what they need. We're going to take care of what they need. There'll be plenty left over. We're going to have a lot of money left over. And the money left over is going to the United States of America, and the oil companies are going to be very happy. Yes.
Would the administration offer a backstop to these oil companies for like financial guarantees, some sort of backstop, if the country did destabilize again?
That's a very interesting question, using the word backstop. I haven't heard that word in a long time. That was at the Wharton School of Finance I last heard. That's a good term. We ought to use it more often. I hope I don't have to give a backstop. Look, these are very smart people. The smartest people are not only in oil and business. These are the biggest companies in the world sitting around this table. They know the risks. I mean, there are risks. We're going to help them out. We're going to make it real easy. They're going to be there for a long time. We're going to be there together for a long, long time. And they're going to be taking the oil, and they're going to be bringing oil prices down. They're going to make a lot of money. They're going to get their money back. They're going to be safe. The people of Venezuela are going to be big beneficiaries, and the United States of America is going to be a big beneficiary for what we've done. And you know, one other thing I might say, it's also very big for national security because, again, just like Greenland, we can't have China or Russia occupy Greenland. We can't have China or Russia occupy Venezuela. And if we didn't do what we did, China or Russia would have been in Venezuela. I think I can imagine. Where's Mr. Chevron? So let me ask you, they would have been there if we didn't do this. Do you agree with that?
They certainly have a lot of economic interests in the country. There's absolutely no argument about that.
They were trying to be there. I mean, you know, we had a Russia, I guess sort of I call it a semi-Russian ship yesterday that we took over, and Russia decided not to defend that ship against us. It's a big movement. The ship was loaded up with oil, and we took the oil, and it came out of that port. But Russia would be there or China would be there. And we want them to be there for a different reason. We want them, do you people agree? In particular, China, they need a lot of oil. Russia doesn't need so much, but Russia was there anyway. But I assume you agree that China would like to be doing a lot of business there by buying oil. And I want to just tell President Xi and President Putin, but more so in this case, President Xi, because they do need a lot of oil. And we are open for business in the United States, and we are open for business in Venezuela, right? Go ahead, sure. You know, I could take questions from these people all day long. You know, they're sitting here, and generally, they're very rich, very powerful, but nobody gives a damn about them. It's a sad thing. You have all that money, all that power, and look at all these crazy questions. We could do this all day long and they wouldn't be satisfied. We'll take a few more though. Let me ask you more importantly, do you have any questions from the biggest? Hold it. Do you have any questions for the biggest people on earth, the biggest business people, the biggest companies anywhere on earth? Do you have any questions for these people? No, do you have a question for them?
Yes, but have
Go
you
ahead,
heard
go ahead,
from
ask
any of
them.
the companies in the room that they are committed to rebuilding the oil infrastructure in Venezuela?
And for the executives in the room, what do you need from the administration in order to invest?
That's a good question. Do you want to go and answer that question?
Yeah.
Exxon, small company.
I'll refer you back to the statements I made before. There are a number of legal and commercial frameworks that would have to be established to even understand what kind of returns that we get on the investments. So I think all the investments and the opportunity sets, I think everyone sitting around this table would have the opportunity and the know-how and the capability to make the investments. The questions will ultimately be how durable are the protections from a financial standpoint? What do the returns look like? What are the commercial arrangements, the legal frameworks? All those things have to be put in place in order to make a decision to understand what your return would be over the next several decades that these $1 billion investments would be made on.
Could I do this? Because we have, again, the biggest people on the planet Earth around this table, biggest companies in the world. I'd like to just ask them to introduce themselves. We'll start from this end and go around to here. And if you have anything to quickly say, we could do that. But you want to just start right over here? These two guys, we'll leave them out because they're with us. Please.
Thank you, President Trump. John Addison at Vitol. We're here to ensure that you are going to be able to move all of this oil all around the world at the best price possible so that the influence that you have over the Venezuelans will ensure that you get what you want.
Thank you. Thank you. Good point.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ryan Sheffield of Formentera. My grandfather, Hugh Sheffield, was president of ARCO, Venezuela.
Right.
Thank you for what you did.
Do you like what we're doing?
There's a lot of shale there, a lot of upside.
He would be very happy looking down. He'd be very proud of you right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. President, Luis Rodriguez, I'm probably the only Venezuelan American sitting on around this table. I want to personally thank you for the courage of your actions over the last couple of weeks. I think I speak, and I speak of Venezuela in general in saying there's optimism. You've brought optimism to the table. And if the conditions are met, the opportunity is absolutely immense.
I agree with that. That's true. Thank you. Well said, too. It's immense. This is a tremendous opportunity. Thank you.
Richard Holton from Trafigura. We're working with your administration, Mr. President, to bring that Venezuelan oil to the United States. Our first vessel should load in the next week.
Good job. Thank you.
I think the reason that most of us are here and thinking about the future is because we trust you initially to set this program up that will work and guarantee that this can be done. And there's a huge investment that needs to be done. We've all agreed on that. And certainly we need time to see that through. So thank you for what you've done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'm Lane Riggs, CEO of Valero Energy, and we're one of those companies that refineries in the U.S. are uniquely configured to run Venezuelan oil, and we're more than happy as this opportunity expands for us to further invest in our refineries to produce more.
And you're very much set up for the heavy oil, right?
Yes, sir.
That's great. That's great. We're ready for it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
And thank you for opening the door to a better Venezuela. We are a Spanish company, but we are fully committed to invest here in the States. We have invested over the last 15 years, $21 billion in the American oil and gas industry, in Pennsylvania, in the Gulf of America, in Texas, and in Alaska, with the discovery of Pikka that is going to have the first oil this quarter, and is going to change, it's going to reverse the declining history of that great state of Alaska. We are in Venezuela, Mr. President, with our partners of ENI we produce the gas that guarantees the stability of a half of the grid power in Venezuela. So we are committed with this stability. And on top of that, we are on the ground. We have people, we have facilities, we have technical capabilities. And I take your point, Mr. President. We are ready to invest more in Venezuela. Today, we are producing 45,000 barrels a day gross of oil, and we are ready to multiply by 3 this figure in coming 2-3 years, investing hard in the country, following your recommendation, if you allow us, of course, and in the framework, commercial and legal framework that could allow this growth. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Great job you've done. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for having me. Matt Sheehy, I'm with Tallgrass Energy. We are an infrastructure business, so whether it's oil, gas, CO2, we move that around. So most of my customers are sitting around the table and happy to lend our expertise to what's going on in Venezuela to support the people. And obviously infrastructure is going to be critical to see repaired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you. An honor to be here. Marianne Mannon, Marathon Petroleum. We are one of the largest U.S. refiners. On behalf of the men and women of Marathon Petroleum and of our industry, thank you and the administration for what you're doing for U.S. energy independence. We have the ability and the capability of our assets to process Venezuelan crude, and the people of Marathon Petroleum stand ready to do so.
Do we need more refineries in our country?
In the U.S., probably not. We have sufficient capacity.
That's amazing. A lot of it was approved during my first term. We were getting you approvals that nobody could have gotten in Louisiana and other places. And they got built. Before that, it was a disaster. We didn't have the refineries. Now we do because of the first term. Please.
Darren Woods, ExxonMobil.
Okay, we'll go over here.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jeff Hildebrand, founder and chairman of Hillcorp Energy, one of the largest private energy companies in America.
Who's bigger, you or Harold?
We're close.
We're
close. Harold. Absolutely, Mr. Hammond. But thank you for your great, tremendous leadership in protecting the interests of the Western Hemisphere. The message that you have sent to China and our enemies to stay out of our backyard is absolutely fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And finally, Hillcorp is fully committed and ready to go to rebuilding the infrastructure in Venezuela.
You'll go there? You'll be going?
Yes.
Good. That's good. You'll be very happy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jeff Miller, CEO of Halliburton Company. We are the largest American oilfield services company. We're the second largest in the world, been in business over 100 years. Started operations in Venezuela in 1938, long time in Venezuela. I personally lived there for 4 years and raised my kids there. So quite familiar with Venezuela and just couldn't express gratitude more so for the opportunity to return to Venezuela under the stability that I know that this team and your team are able to deliver. So
when did you leave? When did you leave Venezuela?
As a company, we left under the sanctions in 2019. So we had intended to stay, and then when the sanctions went into place, we were required to leave. But very much interested in returning. And 600 Venezuelans with Halliburton today, all around the world. Look forward to putting them back to work.
Great job. Great
Thank
job.
you.
You'll be back. Please.
Mr. President, I'm Alex Panberg. My company, Aspect Energy, is one of the leading American international wildcatters. We've found significant fields in central.
Are you a wildcatter?
I'm a wildcatter.
That's pretty cool, I'll tell you. I would have been a wildcatter too if I was in, and you've been successfully wildcatting.
We've found significant fields in Central and South America, in the Middle East, and in Europe. We're the leading oil producer in Hungary. But probably the most pertinent example is what a wildcatter does is take on risk and try to reduce it, and other people come in and put more capital in later, so we're kind of kickstarters in the oil industry. We went into Kurdistan very early on, back when people told us it wasn't safe, that we shouldn't do it. We found a big field there, and it ultimately has got to be developed along with one of my colleagues here to be one of the big leading fields in Kurdistan. We think that Venezuela has a tremendous amount of opportunity. If you look at the investment required, people are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. But if you put that in perspective, that's 1 million barrels a day for 15 years is $220 billion net cash flow. So what we really need to do is to be able to kickstart production and then reinvest and have the confidence to reinvest. And what you're doing by putting the United States in control of the cash flow coming out of the country gives companies like ours the confidence to say we can kickstart this production and then reinvest and reinvest. In Hungary, we've invested $1 billion in changing the trajectory of Hungarian oil production. We were only able to do that not because we could write $1 billion check, we're a smaller company, but because we reinvest all the cash flow back into new production.
Good.
Mark Nelson with Chevron.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Claudio Scalzi, and ICO Italy. We started working in Venezuela in 1980. We have a lot of oil, but now just the gas is flowing because it's not under sanction. And as my colleague from Repsol said, we cover more than about 50% of the electricity in the country. So that is essential to avoid any kind of problem, social problem. We own about 4 billion barrels of reserves. So a huge amount in the Orinoco Belt, in the central Venezuela. We have now in the country 500 people, most Venezuelan. And we are ready to invest. Clearly, we are ready to invest. We thank you for the big efforts and the efficiency of your action. And we are here. And we are here to work together with the U.S. We are also a big investor in the U.S. So we thank you again, and we are there. And we are also ready to join with American companies in our assets to develop and go faster with good investors and good know-how from the U.S. company.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You've done a great job. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, Ross Perot, good to see you again. I'm chairman of Hillwood and HKN Energy, been in the energy business 45 years, and we have been working with your team quite a bit. We have been in Kurdistan now for 19 years, along with Alex, and built a very good business. But now with your team, we're looking in Syria, we're now in Libya, and so we are very excited to look at Venezuela with you and your group, and look forward to continuing to build this great industry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for having us here today. Wael Salwan from Shell. Of course, we have a huge presence here in the US, in the Gulf, as well as in Pennsylvania with the petrochemical facility, which I think we had the opportunity to host you at, as well as being one of the largest LNG off-takers of American LNG. We have been in Venezuela for a very long time. We actually drilled in 1914 the first well that discovered oil in Venezuela, and on the back of which the entire energy industry was established in Venezuela. When we left in the 1970s because of nationalization, we had 1 million barrels per day of production. But we have kept boots on the ground in Venezuela all this time, and we now have a few $1 billion worth of opportunities to invest in, subject to OFAC approval. So we are ready to go and looking forward to the investments in support of the Venezuelan people.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ben Marshall, the America's CEO for Vitol. Alongside Trafigura, we're very thankful to have worked with the government and the Venezuelans to be able to bring the crude oil to market at a market price as quickly as we can to help stabilize the country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Lance, ConocoPhillips, I'll defer to my colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. President. Olivier Lepoche, CEO of SLB, or formerly known as Schlumberger, the largest global oilfield services. We have been in Venezuela since 1930, and we still operate. We operate today on the ground with, in support of Chevron. We have ability to scale. We have 1,100 Venezuelans in the company, 2,000 additional that are calling us to go back to country and to go back to work. We're able to mobilize in the last 18 months 2 rigs and deliver 50 wells with success. So we're here. We have knowledge of the subsurface like nobody else has. We have boots on the ground, capacity on the ground, $700 million of equipment value on the ground in Venezuela, ready to mobilize for all of our partners, customers. So we are ready to scale fast, and we really want to thank the administration, Secretary Wright, Secretary Bergen, for the effort they are supporting and giving us to be successful on behalf of the Venezuelan oil and gas industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, check this out. They say the very best for last. And I don't have that sexy accent like this guy next to me here. Mr. President, my name's Bill Armstrong of Armstrong Oil and Gas. I'm the private independent guy. And in real estate, you were a wildcatter. So wear that motto proudly. But like you, I was my own guy. I don't have shareholders. I don't have private equity partners, but I've been drilling all over the place. In fact, I had the largest discovery in Alaska, biggest discovery in 50 years in our country. I now control 8 million acres adjacent to Venezuela, so I'm already heavily invested in the area. We share a 150-mile border with Venezuela in the countries of Aruba and Curacao, and we are ready to go to Venezuela. It is, in real estate terms, it is prime real estate, and it's kind of like West Palm about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Very right.
Yep, I agree with you. Thank you. Congratulations. So I think what we're going to do is speak without the press to these gentlemen, see what kind of a deal we can make. We're going to get them involved. I'm going to ask Doug and Chris and some of the people that we have from the business standpoint representing our country to start talking about the confines of a deal. I have an idea what I want, what I think we should have. We have to get them to invest, and then we have to get their money back as quickly as we can, and then we can divvy it all up between Venezuela, the United States, and them. I think it's simple. I think the formula is simple. We start with a brand new plate, and it's going to be a tremendous success. I think it's going to be probably like few other things could ever be. You know, there's so much. Venezuela's been really taken advantage of by a lot of people because they drill very little. I mean, as much as you hear they drill very, very little, very small percentage. But now that'll change, and it'll change very rapidly because these are the biggest people, and it'll change very rapidly. So if you don't mind, I'll ask the press to leave, and we will see what kind of a deal we're going to make with these geniuses, and I think you're going to come out very good. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. You can take that. We'll come back for the cables.
Everything they told you about the Minneapolis car ramming was a lie. First, they told you the agent was never hit.
The ICE agent walked away with a hip injury that he might as well have gotten from closing a refrigerator door with his hips. He was not injured. I've seen worse injuries from doing that. And so give me a break. No, he was not ran over. He walked out of there with a hop in his step.
Then they said this was just a mom stuck in traffic.
It's horrifying to watch. And to think about this 37-year-old woman drops her kid off at school, not involved in protest activity or anything, seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
They also said she was a legal observer.
She died trying to be a legal assistant to legal observer to look out for the interests of the most vulnerable members of our community. And she leaves behind a lot of people who love and admire her.
None of this is true. New video from the ICE agent that was rammed was just released, proving he was hit. The woman was there to block the op, and she wasn't a lawyer. Watch.
I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. It's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the
out of the
Oh!
Now, we don't know whether this woman intended to hit the agent with the car or was peeling off, but she accelerated right towards him. Legally, looks justified. But we wish the officer hadn't been in front of the car. It appears he fired his weapon as he was getting clipped. The woman on foot calling the agent fat was the driver's lesbian partner. And they didn't just make a wrong turn and get stuck in the snow. They'd been stalking the ICE officers all day, interfering with their raids. Video shows the car was blocking traffic for 4 minutes, refusing to leave and not complying with orders. And she waited until the agent was in front of the car and the other agent was grabbing onto the door handle before she accelerated, while the partner screams, "Drive, baby, drive." Fox's DHS sources confirmed today that Renee Good was a trained member of ICE Watch. It's a coalition of activists whose mission it is to make ICE's job as difficult as possible. Here's a flyer from ICE Watch that directs people to block the kidnappers' cars and for white witnesses to put their bodies in front of the person that's being kidnapped. See what's going on here? This is an intelligently designed stagecraft. A fellow ICE watcher called Renee an anti-ICE warrior. Now, every vigilante in Minneapolis wants to come out and play.
If I continually see you following us, interfering with us, honking your horn, blocking our cars, you have a very high probability of making a really bad decision and being arrested today. There's a lot of ice around here. Just so you know, if we continue to have you follow us, okay, have fun. Don't make a bad decision today.
These women think it's a game. They could just lay down wheels in the middle of traffic. They can tailgate federal agents, box them in, and alert Eagles of impending searches. Our own Matt Finn was doing an ICE ride along in Minneapolis when they got chased down. Watch.
Okay, so in the distance is a blue Rivian, an electric truck. It's been trailing us now for miles. What are you guys going to do?
If that individual does anything that would indicate that they're going to impede our federal law enforcement operation, we're going to stop. We're going to give them a warning. And then from there, they will be arrested.
That SUV is also trailing you and beeping at you right now.
That is correct.
These warriors, mostly women, have nothing better to do in the middle of the day on a weekday than to drive around and block immigration cops from doing their jobs. Jobs they were hired to do because people voted for it. Here's how it works. They look for tinted out windows, out-of-state plates, and then they shoot out coordinates on encrypted apps with hundreds of members so that ICE warriors can hit the streets and swarm agents. One of them told a Minneapolis paper they'd rather spend a night in jail than see a neighbor locked up for months or be deported. Let's be honest. These activists don't even know these illegals. They don't know their names, where they live. A lot of them have issues and are looking for attention. They're going after ICE agents in street clothes now. One report says a gaggle of women followed ICE agents who screamed at them so loudly, the guys had to leave without breakfast. Patriotic men in uniform are getting run out of diners in America. But MS-13 can sit down and order huevos rancheros. No bueno. One woman spit a loogie at an agent. Enough's enough. Here comes the cuffs.
Step back.
There's a term for this. It's called suicidal activism. Remember suicide by cop? People are so dangerous, they dare officers to shoot them.
You want to shoot me? Shoot me. Go ahead.
This is what's going on now. A lot of these women want to be victims, and the Democrat politicians have no problem pushing these women into the front lines. Human shields for the party machine. Remember what the base said this summer? There needs to be blood to grab the attention of the public and the press. They're taking it seriously. Pips isn't telling his people to be safe.
Some are even being told they need to be more willing to go out there and get shot when fighting. That was a direct quote, get shot when fighting back against some of Trump's policies. How do you respond to that, Leader Jeffries?
Well, we are in a more is more environment in terms of the unprecedented assault on the American way of life.
Democrats are now saying that ICE, just a bunch of trigger-happy killers.
But the truth is that every single person in the United States of America, U.S. citizens, white, black, brown, whoever you are, you have to worry now that an ICE agent is going to come and shoot at you and kill you.
They're saying all illegals aren't criminals, but all ICE agents are. The Maryland dad gets due process. This ICE agent gets none. They're saying put your body on the line because ICE is going to shoot you in cold blood in your car.
The message from this administration is clear. Only they determine the truth. And when their forces come to your city, obey or die. And if you die, you clearly didn't obey.
That's a late night comedy show. The former governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura, no relation, just declared war on the federal government. Watch.
We have leadership now that has destroyed the Constitution. They don't follow it. They could care less about it. Am I right or wrong? I took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I view after January 6th, the Republican Party is a domestic enemy to our Constitution.
Why are the Democrats starting a civil war over foreigners? A civil war over foreigners? I'm confused. Have you ever seen these people fight so hard for Americans? I've never seen it. People who put on a badge and uniform and swear an oath to obey the Constitution every day, they're the enemy. The agents protecting the country from gangs and drugs, they're the ones being called Nazis and being hit with cars. Tim Walz just called Minneapolis the new Gettysburg, and they're drafting women to fight.
I quit my job for this, and I've been having flare-ups and stuff, so it's like I can barely, and I have panic attacks.
She quit her job. So someone's apparently paying these people to protest.
Shame! Shame!
Do you have a job? Do you have a job?
Shame! Shame! I'm getting paid right now!
Vance yesterday said Renee Good was part of a vast left-wing network. We've documented how these people are trained, paid, and organized.
There was a woman screaming, shame, 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 shame. She was a agitator, probably a paid agitator, but in my opinion, she was an agitator, a very high-level agitator, so professional. She wouldn't stop screaming. I said, this isn't a normal situation. This is a professional troublemaker.
These are the same people torching Teslas, chanting Free Palestine at BLM riots. Doesn't matter. They just want to stick it to the man and cause some heat in the streets because something's not right upstairs and they hate their country. Even after Trump was shot, almost killed twice, MSNBC is still calling him a dictator.
Once you have 3.5% of a population protesting nonviolently against a dictator or an authoritarian, that is essentially an unstoppable force that they can't oppose.
What happens to dictators? They get killed, arrested, toppled. You think that's what Mata is asking for? Does she want Trump to get Maduro'd or Gaddafi'd or Saddam'd? First step, light the city on fire.
When the city burned, after George Floyd, all of a sudden there were some charges. So for those who are on the media talking about, don't burn it down, don't set it on fire, let me tell you this, we need justice and we need it now.
Once the cities start burning, they can repeat the Summer of Love, where they scare the country into DEI and defund the police. It's the same MO. Senator Chris Murphy, the same guy who told us he's at war with President Trump, says Democrats' next step is to defund ICE. So if the Democrats win the midterms, ICE is going broke.
I agree that we need congressional restraint to limit or address decisively the lawlessness that the Department of Homeland Security has unleashed on the American people.
Democrats can't win an election or win in court, so they're forcing women to get hurt, so cities burn, to drive Republican numbers down with chaos, so they can swoop into power on a pile of ash and bone and doge Homeland Security.
Do you think ICE should be abolished?
We have to absolutely start over with this agency. And frankly, Kristi Noem and leadership of ICE should be dragged in front of Congress. And let's be clear, how they are acting right now is unconstitutional. So should we throw out this current model of ICE? Absolutely, yes.
So we finally found the one thing Democrats want doged. We're going to keep the money for sex changes in Guatemala, but we're going to strip it from ICE. So now that we understand the strategy, we have to realize the left's tactics, they're only going to get more aggressive. They're going to drive more cars into ICE. They're going to throw their bodies into ICE cars. They're going to spit, kick, hit. It's going to look like a UFC fight. It's going to look like demolition derby. Suicide by ICE. That's what you're going to start seeing. So they can frame the federal government as a murderous dictatorship and then take any means necessary to end it. The Trump administration has to be vigilant about all ongoing ICE operations. They need to start setting up perimeters around entire blocks, boosting manpower, providing backup for the safety of the ICE officers and the agitators. Because these guys want blood. That's what they've said. We can't give it to them. They want a civil war. They've said that. Can't give it to them. So be calm, be professional, but be very strong and very aggressive when conducting operations. Make an example out of people. Arrest people for obstruction. Conduct surveillance. Make sure everyone has body cameras. Don't let them interfere with the mission. Mass deportations. That's what you voted for. And that's how you save the country. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News.
Now, let me just state an obvious fact. Left-wing political leaders, some in the legacy media mob, they are putting their supporters' lives at risk. Their endless, incendiary, dehumanizing rhetoric has resulted in more violence and threats against ICE agents than we have ever seen. ICE agents, they are simply doing their jobs, the jobs that they were hired to do. They're conducting dangerous raids around the country. They are enforcing federal immigration law. Supremacy clause. That means jurisdiction is with the federal government. That's it. In many cases, they're getting violent criminals off the streets. They are not the Gestapo, as Tim Walz has claimed. This is not Nazi Germany, as other Democrats have claimed. This is not a dictatorship of any kind. We are, in the United States, a constitutional republic. We are governed by the rule of law. The left, especially under Biden and Harris, they have aided and abetted widespread lawlessness, assisted by Democratic mayors and governors in their respective sanctuary cities and states. We have allowed in known terrorists and murderers and rapists and cartel members, other violent criminals and drug dealers. And ICE is trying to make our streets and city more safe, more secure. Democrats need to stop lying to the country and their base in particular, whipping them into a frenzy. Or guess what? The predictable outcome is more people sadly will get killed. Now take a look at some of the protests in the past few days.
Quit your job! Quit your job! Quit your job! Hey, Nazi, Nazi, Nazi! Shane!
Is that paintball?
Yeah, that's
Now, this is what ICE agents have to deal with every single day, everywhere they go. And in Minneapolis, here's some more. Take a look.
If I continually see you following us, interfering with us, honking your horn, blocking our cars, you have a very high probability of making a really bad decision and being arrested today, okay? I'm not.
Oh, then why are you giving her a warning?
I'm giving her a warning to not interfere with what we're doing, to not make a bad decision today and ruin your life.
Well, bad
Okay,
decisions.
thank you.
That's funny coming from you.
Okay, all righty. Thank you. Have a good day.
I hope you have a terrible day.
These indoctrinated, unhinged individuals seem to believe that Renee Good was murdered in cold blood. Is it a tragedy? Every death is a tragedy. It's sad. It was preventable, for merely existing in Donald Trump's America. They would have you believe that lie. And because that's what their dear leaders in the Democratic Party, now radicalized and extreme, are telling them. Example, Exhibit A, AOC. Take a look.
I understand that Vice President Vance believes that shooting a young mother of 3 in the face 3 times is an acceptable America that he wants to live in, and I do not. And that is a fundamental difference between Vice President Vance and I. I do not believe that the American people should be assassinated in the street. Thank you.
None of that is true, whipping people's minds into a frenzy. Of course, you got to add in the congenital liar, Adam Schiff. He looked at the same footage we showed you, and he concluded that Renee Good she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but was doing it like day in and day out, according to reports, before getting attacked by ICE for no reason at all. Take a look.
And to think about this 37-year-old woman drops her kid off at school, not involved in protest activity or anything, seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But at one point, she's waving other cars to come on past, trying to make sure that she's not in the way, although she's been pulled over. And then you see her trying to turn away from these officers, and the shots fired into the car. The wheels of the car pointed not towards the agent, but away from the agent. That's what leaps out to me from the video.
The woman next to her got out of the car, taunting, as we just showed you, ICE officers, as she was. Keep in mind, this woman was a dedicated anti-ICE agitator who was stalking and impeding federal agents all day. As the New York Post put it, she was, quote, an ICE watch warrior who was trained to resist the feds. Like always, the congenital liar is wrong. And then there's, of course, Mr. Fang Fang himself, Eric Swalwell. He wants to get a promotion. He wants to be worse than Gavin Newsom. It appears that, he staged a fake impromptu interview set to dramatic music in order to politicize the death of Renee Good and hype up his supporters, if he has any. Take a look.
Hey, Congressman. What's going on, man? What the is up with ICE murdering a woman in Minneapolis?
She has a name, right? Renee Good. Looks like she was a mom of 3 and had every right to go see her kids last night. And instead, she's dead. And of course, this is what would happen when you have a president who surges his thugs into our communities, masked, unidentified. And I guess you're lucky now if all that happens is you're thrown in the back of a van or you're dragged by your hair through the streets, because now they're just shooting people in the face and bodies are piling up. So, yes, to ICE, my message is stay the out of California.
Stay the F away. Okay, don't enforce laws. Oh, the border is closed. The border is secure. Up next, Pothole Pete blasting the ICE agent who fired defensive shots. According to Pete, he should have been trained on how not to get hit by an accelerating SUV headed right at you. Okay, take a look.
A Minnesota woman lost her life yesterday in an incident that never should have happened. She should be with her family, alive and well right now. We have an ICE agent who, by the way, is or should have been trained not to be in front of a vehicle and never to shoot into a moving vehicle.
Now, far-left mayor, this idiot, Jacob Fry, also weighed in, mocking ICE agents and their injuries. Take a look.
Don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. Watch the video from every single angle. I mean, the ICE agent walked away with a hip injury that he might as well have gotten from closing a refrigerator door with his hips. He was not injured. I've seen worse injuries from doing that. And so give me a break. No, he was not ran over. He walked out of there with a hop in his step.
Look, we can keep going. I could play these dishonest, incendiary statements from influential, radical left-wing figures all night long. The one thing I cannot play on this show is the same people we're showing you, these same radicalized Democrats, ever showing any sympathy to the hundreds and thousands of Americans that have been murdered and raped or victims of other violent crimes by unvetted, illegal immigrants, the ones they said were not coming into the country when they were lying to the country because they put the so-called rights of illegals above your safety, your security, and the security of the American people. And now Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who recently compared ICE to Nazi Gestapo, is now, quote, inviting all Americans to join Minnesota in a day of unity. The gaslighting and deception, it is off the charts. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News.
Hi, beautiful people. Are we still friends? Let me see. What are your thoughts on it? I don't know how anybody can think that what we just saw was American. There is nothing about illegal protests. And I got sick watching these channels and some of these large platforms down there filming these protests and talking to people that were so against America. If you don't like America, then why are you here? I feel that it's really strange that we're fighting so hard. This is not American. You have people coming from all over, and the American people are fighting because they want to allow illegal immigrants here. They're chanting things like, no one's illegal. We voted for Donald Trump to come and clean up the border and illegal immigration. That's what he's doing. Nobody complained when Obama came and deported illegal immigrants. Nobody complained. Nobody talked about the conditions that he has kept them in. But when President Trump comes and does what he says he's going to do, people have a lot of pushback. There's a lot of whys. Nothing against the left, but there's a lot of whys. It's almost as if they want to cause a civil war, all to win an election. And I think that is really sad. The truth is, the borders need to be protected, and it's wrong that people can come from another country and get here illegally and expect the American people to protect them when they're committing crimes. Now all immigrants do it, but if you come here legally, that's a crime. And to fight these ICE agents, the nerve of you, I'm telling you, if you do that in any other countries, you so much as accidentally touch them or brush against them, you're going to jail. But they come here with this sense of entitlement, and they're not here to assimilate, some of them, right? They're here to represent their countries, send their money back to their countries, not pay taxes, not do all of these things. I'm not trying to convince you guys one way or the other, but what I am trying to say is that woman was a paid protester, allegedly, and she decided, I know she was a mom, but she was a mom that was protesting and decided to interfere with their investigation. ICE could not safely do their job. And I looked out there, it almost looks like a mob attacking these ICE agents. Now, I know a lot of people want to demonize these ICE agents, but what I saw, I would have been afraid too. Now, I got so sick of trying to find videos and these so-called influencers that's really going to speak the truth and not speak this left-wing rhetoric. And this is how you can tell. Why can't the Democrats just prove their points without always trying to demonize the Republican Party? Because why? They want you to think that Republicans are evil, that protecting our country is evil. We have to let everybody in here. And no, we don't. We need to protect our borders, protect American citizens, and make sure that our money is spent in America and that it's time to put America first and build our country up again. We have so many problems here. People worried about saying what color skin they have, or, it's white versus black, and white people don't feel, whatever the case may be. It's just really time to heal our country, work on things within our country. There are Black Republicans, and we have a voice and we have a platform, and we do not have to go along with the Democratic Party that's promising us every election all of these things that we don't need, because they never go to Black people. They just use Black people as a token for their DEI and all these other things that we never even asked for. Some people may have asked for DEI, but it didn't work in the first place. Neither did affirmative action, because we were not the ones to use affirmative action. All they do is make promises that they don't even have to fight for the Democratic vote anymore. For the Black vote anymore. The Democrats will tell you whatever you want to hear to get that vote. And now let's pay protesters. Let's get people to pretend that the Republicans are so violent just so that they can win the election, past the Democratic vote. Because if they really did what was best for the country, they would protect the borders. They would tell you that men are men and women are women, and we don't want you playing and men do not have any place in women's sports. They should not be in Women Olympics. When women have worked so hard to get there, there is no way that a woman is going to be a man in sports. Thank you for the super. Thank you for the super sticker. Let me read this. And I couldn't look at my chat because the amount of hate that I get speaking is insane. So just know that I love you guys that support this country. Let me read this. Amen. Never forget Obama's huge number of immigrants. Exactly. At least 3 million. Trump and ICE are simply enforcing long existing law. Paid protester for sure, because these people never appear to have jobs. Exactly. It's been proven that a lot of them are paid. They're told where to go. And did you guys hear what the broadcaster said about death by ICE? Thank you, Shane. I appreciate you. Thank you. Did you guys hear that? Now, that lady intentionally put herself in the middle of this investigation. She was antagonizing. She pulled her off. That ICE agent could have had PTSD. He was dragged before by an aggressive protester. Okay? I saw the clip. I don't know what clip they're watching, because it did not seem that she was this innocent bystander. It's always sad when somebody loses their life. I'm extremely sympathetic, but I'm also appreciative of the people that give their life every day to protect the American people. There's nothing peaceful about the protests. There's nothing peaceful about burning a city down that our tax dollars pay for. Now, if you don't pay for it, you're not going to care. Okay? Now, let me read you guys saying. What is sad is your ignorance. Ignorant how, David? Use your words. The ICE agent acted perfectly. I don't trust neither party. Fair enough. Get out of America. Ooh, mercy. Let me read the rest of this. If you hate it so much, that went too fast. And don't let the door hit you in the on the way out. Okay. I think it's time we all go to sleep. I hear you. The ICE agent put himself intentionally in front of a vehicle. What an idiot. I appreciate you guys for double tapping the stream, because it is really hard to come out here and speak for the right. Okay? We get called all kinds of names. They want to flag my videos. And all I'm doing is showing you both sides of the story. You heard from the Democrats and you heard from the Republicans. I did not censor it. I played the clip. I played the clip in its entirety so you can hear for yourself. But I wanted you to see both sides and the bigger picture. And it's not as they make it seem. There's no reason that you should ever challenge. They're getting in these ICE agents' faces. They're provoking them. It's like provoking, say whatever you want to them. And when they respond, you break down into these Karen Arse tears and play victim. No, you provoke them. So if they put their hands on you and put you against a car and restrain you, you brought it on yourself. I don't know about you guys, but let somebody get in your face and challenge you, you're going to naturally react. Now, these people are extremists, and I can't be upset. Now, if that lady was somewhere minding her business, and that ICE agent did that, I would by all means be wanting that person prosecuted. But I can't say that with all those people out there, I agree that this person should be prosecuted. And I believe that I don't think they're going to prosecute. What do you think? David, you're okay. You talk to yourself. Why? Their policy says they should not be firing into cars. Mike, I don't understand what you're talking about. What did I lie about? What did I lie about, Mike? I blame Biden for these problems. I do too. Frankie said it's self-defense. Thirsty Bucket in the comments. What you mean by that, Mike? Trump is, that went too fast. President Trump is the man needed at these difficult times. Edwin, yes. Yes. I am so tired of how things have been in this country. Do you guys remember under the Biden administration, we had to learn all of these? I had to know if I needed to call you a they, a them, a her. There was how many genders? 63 or 57? We know that's a lie, because whenever they want to research something like cancer or any other disease, they don't research the 63 and 67 genders. They talk about a man and a woman. So why are they trying to make America dumb and dumb us down and make us think that, oh, we can just be plural now? Okay? So much that if you didn't learn a person's pronouns, you could lose your job. Donald Trump got rid of that stuff. Okay? Now we can have bathrooms that's exclusively for women, and we do not have to share them with somebody that calls himself a woman, but they're a man. I appreciate Donald Trump. But more importantly, the crime rate has gone down. We can be proud to be American. Donald Trump's fighting because prescription drugs cost higher here than any other country when it shouldn't be. They pay a fraction of those prices in other countries, but because they see America as this place where they can scam, commit fraud, raise prices as high as they want, make us pay so much more. Donald Trump's like, no, we're going to put America first. We're going to start throwing tariffs on these countries. If they want to sell products into our country, we're going to encourage Americans to buy American, which will create more jobs. And these tariffs will pay for these programs like SNAP and all these other benefits, EBT and all of those kind of things, which thankfully Donald Trump put a limit on. You can't be on it for the rest of your life without working, thank God. And tariffs can get rid of taxes, because there was a time where Americans didn't pay taxes. At least federal taxes maybe you can get rid of, because the tariffs can provide. But nevertheless, you guys, I just pray for this country. I pray for our safety. I really don't like looking in the chat, hearing you guys calling me dumb and all those things because you're in your feelings. But the same people that you're crying about being in this country illegally are the same people that will not cry for you if something happened to you, because they feel that they're entitled. They don't have to work the way Americans work. I was looking at TikTok. There's something, there was like a bunch of illegal immigrants bragging, saying that, and I saw this for myself, bragging about not having to work. Americans are slaves. We're reaping the benefits, and bragging all over TikTok, just proud of it, not even trying to hide it. And people were applauding them and praising them for coming into this country. And I found it absolutely disgusting and insane. And that's what people are protecting out there. Donald Trump is doing everything that he was put in position to do. Now, I am worried about the midterm elections because of the lie that's the lies from the left. I'm worried about it, but I'm just going to keep praying for this country and praying for the best. That's what I'm going to do. God doesn't hate. You're a great sister. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate the gift earlier. Keep up the good work. My heart loves the Dominican, and the Dominican men support you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. ICE does not equal Gestapo. Stop it, Pear. Stop. You're not dumb. The people saying you are the people saying you are programmed NPCs. They don't care about the truth. Keep on telling the truth. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you guys' support, showing up for me, and sticking together, because we have to, because the lies that you're saying about the Republican Party is absolutely disgusting. The Republicans love America. We love traditional families. Okay? I'd be worried if I were you. The blue wave will dismount Trump. The midterms are coming. I am worried about the midterms. I'm not going to lie about that. I am worried about the midterms, you guys. Just so many lies. These protests really bother me. I went to one protest. It wasn't too bad. I live in Palm Springs. And I got invited to like these meetings to talk about Donald Trump. And of course, because of the color of my skin, they assumed I was Democrat. And so I just blended in. I wanted to talk to them and understand. But everything that they were saying, no, it wasn't right. Okay? We're not saying that. We're just asking you to come into this country the right way. Why? Because there's trafficking going on here. Kids are being unaccounted for. You have people being worked in slave labor and all of these things because they come to this country duped, thinking they're going to have a better life. Somebody brings them here and then they take advantage of them, and we don't even know who they are. And all these crimes happen in America. And if something happened to one of these people that's fighting for these illegal immigrants, let one of these illegal immigrants harm their family, they're going to wish that somebody did something about it, right? And why are they able to come here and work for way less? So Americans can't even get a job for it. They're willing to just do what? Okay. And why? I can do the why thing all day. I could do it all day. But illegal immigration hurts the American economy. And I'm not just saying things. Please stop saying that I'm brainwashed. I fought for this country. I went to the military. I served. I did my part. After that, I went to college when I got out. And yeah, there was other things that happened along the way. But for the most part, I love my country. I wanted to join the military to serve my country. And I would have stayed in the military, but I wanted to go to school. So I didn't just become a Republican because Donald Trump became in office. I just loved how the Republican Party fought for my people, fought for our civil rights, despite what the Democrats were saying, okay? So anybody that's bringing up the color of my skin, please don't bring up the color of my skin because that's insulting. I'm going to fight for the party that fought for me and that fought for my people. And that's fighting to make American people just Americans, where we can get rid of all the other things that divide us. I think it's time that our country starts to heal. And we have a history that we shared. And we have a president that's trying to unite us. And by uniting us, it's saying, hey, if you want to come to this country and say that you're American, then be American. He declared English as our official language. Thank you, Donald Trump, okay? You cannot be fired from a job if you do not speak Spanish or any other language. And I don't have a problem with Spanish-speaking people, not at all. But don't make it seem bad if you only speak English. That's our language here. And we got to be proud of the things that's American. I'm delusional. Dishonorable discharge. I got an honorable discharge. Richard, thank you so much. You guys, I'm just going to read your comments now. I don't agree with racism at all, and at all. I don't agree with racism. I know it's racist. Racism, every race, but that is so wrong. God created us evil. There's going to be racism. There's going to be people. Now, I believe anybody can be racist. Anybody can be racist. I know some people think that you have to be a certain color to be racist. If you don't like somebody based off of the color of their skin, then you are a racist. She's like, Babe, man, I'm not going to worry about the Winston's calling me delusional because we saw delusional. We saw delusion. And now it's these protesters. A peaceful protest is not getting into ICE agent's face or law enforcement's face. You cannot just walk up to a police officer or an ICE agent and say what you can say what you want. You got freedom of speech. To an extent. Let's be reasonable. Let's be safe. But parking your car somewhere, blocking traffic, what gives you the right to your freedom to do something can't go over somebody else's freedom. Okay? I still have my rights, you have your rights. I can't take your rights away because I decide to park in the middle of the street and block traffic and make you wait, make you late for work and not care what you have going on. I can't do that. I can't. Why are they stopping these ICE agents from doing their job? They're making the ICE agents aggressive and danger to their own lives. They're doing it because they want you to think that this is what Donald Trump asked for. No, they're making it extremely hard for Donald Trump to do his job. It is his job to protect our country. It is his job to protect our borders. Biden should have protected our borders, and he dropped the ball. And now here we are today. Here we are today trying to clean up the mess, trying to say, wait, you guys don't know what's best for you. You don't know what's best for you at this point. You can't have people just coming in. I lost a lot of friends because of my political views. I have people that would not talk to me anymore. I have people tell me that I have to choose. I let them go because it's not about you and it's not about me. It's about this country. Charlie Kirk, I got to mention Charlie Kirk. Rest in peace. He was reaching young voters, college age, because they are our future and they're looking at us. He spoke truth. They got to ask questions and he answered those questions. And those that were intelligent enough to understand what he was saying, some of them dropped out of gangs, some of them went to church and gave their life to God, some of them decided to get married and build a community because that says a lot. Stability, especially as you get older, they change their ways, and Charlie Kirk did that. And because he spoke peace, he spoke about the Republican Party, they took his life. And the same people that's protesting, saying, oh, we want nobody's illegal, they're the same people that thought Charlie Kirk should be unalive because he spoke. He has the right. He had the right to speak his mind, and it doesn't have to feel good. He could say whatever he wanted as long as it's not like bomb or y'all know what we can't say. I shouldn't even have said it right now. But Charlie Kirk was a conservative, and the Democrats are saying, and the left are saying that he deserved to have his life taken in broad daylight in front of his kids. Are you insane? And that Tyler Robinson, this coward, is somehow a hero. I don't understand it. So there's a lot of double standards and a lot of contradictions. And now Erica Kirk is somehow a bad person. Why? She lost her husband, and she has Candace Owens attacking her every step of the way. And I liked Candace Owens, but I had to pull back my support on that because I don't agree with that, Candace. I don't agree. That's wrong. Kids, they weren't there. It still happened, Mike. You missed the point. You missed the point. You totally missed the point because you're trying to argue something. He may not be. He's entitled to a trial. Racist hate channel? How am I racist? How am I racist? I'm not racist. I don't have any mods in the chat, so y'all getting away with a lot. Candace might know something we don't. I'm not taking that away, Lionel. I'm not taking that away. I'm watching like everybody else. I've never seen a happier widow. What is she supposed to do? What is Erica supposed to do? She's CEO of Turning Point USA, High Northwest, and she has to speak. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm not perfect, but listen. If I'm trying to hear you speak, I know you're grieving, but I want to hear you speak. And you're going to have to hold yourself together a little bit so I can hear your message. And she has to come across as strong. She can't just be bawling in front of you guys. She cried during the funeral. She has to be brave. And not everybody grieves the same. You guys don't think Tyler did it? She isn't saying anything meaningful. Then go. Nobody holding you here. Ignore the fools. Y'all see the smile on my face? Like, I am so happy to chat with you guys. But some of you try my patience now because I have not called any of you out of your name. This is called a conversation. For the grown. That's a Boricua flag? Do I have one? Of course, liberals. These comments go fast. I'm sorry. Of course, liberals are going to accuse you of racism. There will be more incorrect and obviously wrong accusations. Liberals waste time, hate America, and must simply be ignored. Exactly. How am I going to be racist? Who would I be racist against? Watch the body language, United. Every move she makes is calculated and fake. This rise of the psychopaths is crazy. Wow, I didn't know I was live with you guys so long. Are you Mexican? I'm not Mexican. No, I'm not Mexican. I love all people, regardless of your race or your nationality. I'm not Mexican. Once again, how long have I been Republican? Why do you ask that? Why do you ask how long? I kind of told you guys it was before Donald Trump, so I'm not. It's not about Republican or Democrat, you guys. I try to share nonpartisan news, but I'm not really sure what difference does it make what I am. I'm American. I believe that we are all American, and the same way I don't want white people to look at me any differently than anything else. I'm not gonna do the right. I don't like the race card. Obviously, I'm, I have an ethnic background. And as a woman, a Black woman, I feel that it's really important to show my support for the Republican Party. And I feel that it's important to speak because a lot of times Republicans speak and you're called racist, but you can't call me racist. You can't call me any of those things, okay? You can't say that I'm uneducated. You can't say anything about me. I'm just a person that decided to wake up one day and just do the work and do what it takes to have a good life. That's all you can say about me. And I decided that the political party that I was going to support was a political party that has voted for me and the people that came before me, which would be my ancestors. And they fought for our rights. And I noticed that it was a Democratic Party that are pushing these government programs on us that we don't need, that's going to keep us poor, that's going to keep us dependent on a government just collecting pennies and welfare and all of those things. Why? Because they need us to be on those government programs, to be dependent on the government so we can never pull ourselves up. We do not need to be afraid to get off of government assistance. And I am so glad that Donald Trump said that you're going to get this amount, doesn't matter how many kids that you have. This is what it's going to be. You're going to work and you're going to get off of public assistance. And the homeless has got to get help. Get mental health, help for your drug, whatever it is. Clean up the streets. Why? No stability. Prone to violence. Your mental health declines. Sometimes you have to help people that don't want to help themselves. Once you clean up people that's dealing with addiction, then they can make decisions on how to take care of their life. But clean it up. I'm not against change. So I don't think my race really matters, besides the fact to say you can't keep saying that Republicans are racist. You can't keep saying that we don't love God, we don't love people, because we do. And I know that I love this country, which is why I went to the Navy and I served my country. And I absolutely loved it. This channel is for traitors. Oh, let me get you up out of here because you're spamming my chat. Bye. There you go. Now you can find another one that's not that. You can find one that fits you better. I already know. I see y'all comments. I see I see your comments and a lot of them, but I'm not here to cry about me. If I started this platform because I got tired of conservatives being silenced. If you haven't noticed, my mods protect you guys. You guys can speak. You guys can, of course, we don't do the racism stuff. You got some that's not really Republican, but they pretend to be Republican and they spew hate speech. They're not Republicans. They're fake. They're rhinos. They're just trying to make the Republican Party look bad. Republicans are lovely people. I'm not preaching. Now, there's good people that are part of the Democratic Party too, as well. There's conservative Democrats. I'm well aware of that. So I'm not judging anyone. I want you all to feel welcome. But once you start the insults and stuff like that, that's telling me that you're not intelligent enough to hold a conversation. because you can't back what you're saying up by facts. You have to go to insults. And a lot of times I see that from the left. You can't say why you don't like something. You can only say what other people have told you. They're MAGA. Many Black conservatives. Humble pie, there are a lot of Black conservatives, a lot. And I try to connect with them so we can speak, so we can have a voice, so we can say what we don't want, which includes, I'm going to say BLM. If you know, you know. I don't want to insult anybody. There's a lot of things that we don't want. What's hate speech? Screaming in unison from the river to the sea. You have not used one fact. All right, you guys. Let me shut up now. I've spoken enough. I'm not trying to preach to you. Damage Inc. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. I see you. I see your support. MAGA always has information. Sorry, you guys. I know I missed a lot of your comments, but it goes fast on my screen. MAGA always has information before making choices, like storming the Capitol. You can't blame MAGA or Republicans for the Capitol. Let's start with making these elections fair. Let's start there. Now, January 6th should not have happened. Okay? But we're in 2026 moving forward, and you're stuck in the past. Let's move forward. Okay? Conservatives don't really have the time to comment. We usually have jobs and families. We have jobs and families, Richard. I got my babies upstairs. I worked. Right? I'm going to say this again. What's happening to those ICE agents is not right. The way that Republicans are treated isn't right. We could say the simplest things and it's demonized. Oh wait, I just lost my computer just cut out of me. Lying devil. We say the smallest things. Some of you, you can just look at the chat and see some of the comments that are being made. I haven't said anything crazy. But when you have ICE agents out there trying to deport an illegal person here, and you're stopping that process and something happens to you, excuse me for your hurt feelings, but you brought it on yourself. You did. They're not trying to harm American people. They're lying to you guys about this. I can't preach to you guys, but what I'm telling you is that I'm praying that we win midterm elections. And if we don't, I'm still going to hope for JD Vance 2028 because the Democrats are trying to start something that's not right. This civil war, this civil unrest, that's what's dividing the country, not the Republican Party. You don't see Republicans out here protesting and interfering with law enforcement like that. You don't see it. Europe, Vance 2028. That's right. I'm in a cult. Eric Klein, you obviously don't know what a cult is. Sellout? How am I a sellout? Salute to you, pretty lady. Thank you, Harlem Street Tales. Yeah, because they are ICE. All right. All right, you guys. So I'm a sellout. How? You know what? Some people are going to say stuff because they don't know what else to say. Culties never know they're in a cult. People that's in a cult can't come and go as they please. I can leave the Republican Party anytime that I want to. I choose not to. So I'm not really sure what you're trying to tell me. I think that you're in a cult if, because I'm Black, you think that I'm supposed to be a part of the Democratic Party. And if I'm not a part of the Democratic Party, you have people like what's in the chat calling me a sellout. Now that's a cult. Be a Democrat. Which president, you guys, remind me, that said, if you're Black, then you have to vote for me? There was a president that said that. I can't, my brain is tired right now. I can't recall, but that was just a huge insult. I have to vote for you because of the color of my skin. I don't have a choice. That's a cult when you take a choice away. I have choices. Was that Biden? Black all day? Or back all day? Was it Clinton? There's problems. And it's good to see you. Voting for Democrat is voting for your own demise. It was Biden? Okay. Asians interfere with your country politics because you voted for them? Biden said it. Look at Claude. Claude knows. That's right. Oh, thank you for the. I knew one of you had it. Biden said that. He said if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. You want to know what's interesting? Nezarite. Nobody talked about Biden not wanting his kids to be bused with black kids. No one called out that racism. Biden also said he didn't want his kids, black kids, in the same school as his kids. Wouldn't that be racism? So why should blacks vote for Biden? Because he was Democrat? We're supposed to vote for the person that didn't think that his kids should be in school with our kids. So that's my problem with the Democratic Party, is they don't call the hypocrisy out. They want to talk about Donald Trump, but the obvious racism from Biden. Didn't Biden say when he was called out on some stuff that he was cured from racism? He was cured from his thoughts. And they're just like, okay. But they want to talk about Trump. When did Trump ever say stuff like that? Never. Never. And I don't want to call out the hypocrisies. I voted for Trump. Harlem Street Tell, shout out to you. It's just a fact Democrats have lost the plot. So I know a lot of people won't say that they're Republican, won't say that they're Democrat. I usually ask in the chat just to see if I have any allies, if I have any like-minded people. I appreciate you guys that do speak out. You don't have to, because I know that a lot of people will hate you. I cannot say, I hear a lot of people come into my job and they talk about the Democratic Party, and because I'm black, so I'm Democrat, and they say all kinds of things. Don't you hate the president? Don't you this? Don't you that? I have to hold my thoughts so I don't offend them. But they're able to push their beliefs on me, tell me about the president. But if I were to dare say who I voted for, I would lose my job. And I just don't agree with that. If the Democrats are able to say who they voted for, walk around proud, why can't the Republican people do it without being called racist? Why do they try to dehumanize us? Why do they try to make it seem as if we're not? Because this is what happens when you dehumanize someone and that person gets harmed. You're going to think they deserved it. They're less than. Before you abuse somebody, before you harm them, like a group of people, you first dehumanize them, and we've seen that in history. So by calling Republicans racist and devil worshippers and all these other things, you're dehumanizing them. So that's how, what happened to Charlie Kirk, I don't know if I'm making sense to you guys, what happened to Charlie Kirk, that is why people that are normally intelligent people said, well, he deserved it. He shouldn't have caused all this hate. No one deserves that. Just like that lady that is unalive, I'm still sad about a life that was lost because it was senseless. Charlie Kirk's death was senseless. But because people dehumanize folks by language is a powerful thing, they look at him, they were mocking his death in public, and a lot of people thought it was good, it was encouraged. Thankfully, people lost their jobs, got kicked out of school. Okay, these companies took a stand, but it was really distasteful. Okay. Look at Luigi Mangione. People are calling him a hero. How? So no, you can't just take the life of a Republican because you don't get your way. You don't get to throw a tantrum because we're saying things that you don't want to hear. Okay? If you have the right to free speech, so do we. And again, you can't pull the racist card because there's racism on both sides. But it's individual people. Can't say that a political party is racist. People can be ignorant, but I take that on an individual basis, and I do not like to pull the race card, because when do we start to get away from things like that? When do we start to just build and just see each other as people and not by the color of our skin? All right, you guys. Charlie Kirk spread the word of God. He spoke about church. He spoke about a lot of things. Stay classy. James, how are you? They did, Bake Man. They absolutely did. I live in Coachella. Nobody talks about how he almost lost his life at the rally here in Coachella. I got to go to the rally. Donald Trump is a phenomenal speaker. And there were some MAGA there, some Republicans like me. And it was just a moment of solidarity. It was a beautiful moment for the country. And it was nice to see people that look like me, that obviously there was a lot of white people there, but it was Hispanics there, Puerto Ricans there, blacks there. It was a mixture. And then you had somebody, and they didn't even want to call that an assassination attempt. They were just like, oh, well, he just had these weapons. He just had this stuff and he was hanging out. Nope, that happened in Coachella. And there was another attempt on his life that they don't talk about because it's Donald Trump. They like to say that he faked it with his ear, that it was somehow planned. This man almost lost his life. And Donald Trump is only trying to save his country. Nobody's perfect, but he has a lot of pushback. He's called a dictator. He's called all of these things. And, you know, why? Why? He's not a dictator. If he was a dictator, you would not be able to march these streets against him. He's fought every step of the way by the Supreme Court. They fight against him. And I'm not even going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's a huge disappointment. So we just have to stick together, stay strong as a Republican Party. No matter what happens, we support each other and we'll be okay, no matter what happens. But y'all notice that when Democrats are in office, Republicans are out there voting and protesting. We're in our house watching the news and paying attention to what's happening. We're not out there doing all this crazy stuff, blocking traffic in the middle of the street because we feel that we can. Because we wouldn't have that. People, I mean, we'd go to jail. Nobody would sympathize with us. But why is it okay to do it if you're a Democrat? Make America free from outsiders. Well, I'm not saying all that. You can come into the country legally. I showed my 17-year-old a chat about this topic, and she was a sympathizer of the left beliefs until she saw the liberals' comments and realized they were evil. You know, Damage, that's what I should do with my daughter, because she's a huge sympathizer, beautiful girl. But she sympathizes. I need to show her the comments. I should do the same thing. That's a great idea. I'm gonna do that. So she could just see the hate that they spew towards people. Trump is trying to get Americans a payout this year for the tariffs he's collecting. I bet his haters will still spend that money. Exactly, just like they spent the stimulus money. Hey, Kara, how are you? These are paid for streams. What does that mean, Eric? I didn't see any cash apps to donate. I did see one. Thank you so much. Paid for streams. I'm a streamer. I'm not sure your point, Eric. Yeah, got my dog upset. You are perfect with a perfect heart. Let me get this person that's asking that. Let me get this person up out of here. Look at my dog. Y'all upset my dog. Hold on. Good morning, Jerome. Oh, look at her. She's mad. All right, you guys. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with me. Here's the Taros. Why don't we people own the... Stop. Why don't we people own the oil companies? We can use it for our own evil healthcare system. Healthcare system isn't evil. We need to support our own and stop trying to put extra money, trillions of dollars, to support illegal immigrants when Americans need affordable healthcare. A lot of less fake news. You got to make money somehow. I'm a blogger. I do get paid for blogging. Absolutely. Not these streams, but what does it matter? Why are you asking about how much I make? At least I work. I work. I'm not sure. So I choose to use my platform to share the news. All right, and good night. All right, you guys, I need to lay it down. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Good night, Jamie. I'll see you guys later today. Primo. The oil's in the ground. Zero. I love you. I love you. I love my moderators. Y'all hold me down. Zero's my friend. They can do it too. That's sorry, Scott. Dr. Manhattan. Where you been? Everybody was asking about you. What is your social security number? Whatever you want it to be. All right, you guys. I'll see y'all later. Bye. Hey, more. God bless us all.